boy, happy Tuesday. Hopefully it is happy for everybody. It just turned into a Monday for me about 2 hours ago. So um, I realized I was short a couple of readers, and that's okay because we can still make it work. And I was trying to work on flipping a video that is mirrored that I wanted to use tonight, but I can't figure out how to get it flipped. So we're just going to go with everything the way it is, and we're going to be fine. It's all going to get done one way or another, so it's all good. Like to say hello to Kay and Jack. Kay, you've had a rough day today too. You've had another Monday, it sounds like.
Monday. Yeah. It's all good now.
Okay, good.
Ready to do this.
Ready to do this. This is I don't know. I guess it depends on how deep into this you are and how much you know the personality of Kim Davis and Galen Gigger. And a lot of you should by now know. Oh, good. There's Cherie. There's the court. The court just showed up. The court's here.
Hello, folks.
Hi, Cherie.
Hey, Cherie.
I'm playing Judge Henderson, huh?
Yeah, you get to be Nasty Henderson for her. That's right. That's right. This trial testimony, I've been reading it for the last several days, last week or so, really. And it's really, really pissed me off really bad because Gigger is a twister and a liar. And I think that's pretty evident from what we've already heard from him. And Kim Davis is just, I don't even have a word for her, but I despise this woman with everything. She is horrible. And her testimony in this Rosetta case is awful. I just want to choke her. So, well, yeah, I shouldn't say that, but my mind went to violent places when I was reading this and going through it and reading the words that she was saying and the words that Gigger was saying. So anyway, back to saying hello to Jack. How are you doing, Jack? Jack has
well, trying to get to the unmute button. Number one, I'm not having a Monday, but it's definitely a very early Tuesday with some leak over from Monday. I don't know, not too bad, I guess.
Some Monday runoff.
Yeah, it's been an interesting little while, and just a lot of stuff on a couple of plates. Just been really busy, so got a bit of a brain fuzz. Plus all the stuff going on Twitter, just trying to keep up with convicting a murderer, and it's just been crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've been off of Twitter for over a week. It's that I just can't go there. So I feel you.
Well, it's mainly just the only thing I'm really posting anything on is the convicting stuff, and once I get that, I try not to get you know how you can get sucked in, and then you find a comment, and you get another comment. You got to say something. You get another comment. It's just I try to get in for a few minutes and get out. Just leave.
Yeah. That's exactly why I don't go there, for that exact reason. So, all righty.
Yep.
How about you, Cherie? You've been pretty busy too lately.
Yes, I have. But I just got home and I'm free tonight, so looking forward to it. Maybe you make it sound bad though.
Well, and for the most part, I felt like Henderson, as much of a pig as he is, he seems kind of like, I don't know, I felt like in some cases he's been pretty fair and equal, but there's some places in this testimony, no. So, yeah, anyway, I want to thank Jack for streaming this to Foul Play as well. And between the two chats, We have Under Your Scars, Colette. Hi, Colette. Neverly is in foul play. Mose is in my chat, it looks like, as is Case 10. Hey, guys, how are you doing? It's great to see you both. And Colette's in both chats, which is awesome. And as is Under Your Scars. And it looks like West Virginia is over in the foul play chat. And Travis is in the foul play chat. So that's all good. I can see all the comments from both chats. So I'll highlight comments as I see them. I will be reading the part of Galen Gigger tonight. So there's probably going to be quite a bit that I'm not going to be able to catch as far as chat. So chat comments, but I'll try to catch up and get through them eventually. Anyway, welcome to everybody. I just wanted to say real quick, I've been making some community posts, at least one a day for the last several days. So hopefully you guys are catching that. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and, hit the like button, make some comments, make a comment down in the comment section after the videos and stuff. Ask questions, make comments. Give me your opinion. Let's talk about it in the comment section. That's where I get to interact with you most of the time, or most of the people that are in chat. So we all want to hear what your thoughts are, what you have to say, what your opinions are. Let's do it in the comment section of the videos so that we can have some dialogue and get more information out. So where shall we start with this testimony tonight? Oh, I have some. Kay, what do you think? Should we show that ABL map or should we read the transcript and then stop when it gets to that part, or what do you think?
I think we should stop and show it when we get to that part.
When we get to those parts, okay. And then in that case, I also have a couple of radio traffic pieces that we'll play for you when we get to those parts in the transcript as well. So, Kay, are you going to read from your own copy of transcript?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Jack, do you?
I have my own copy. Yeah, I have my own copy.
Okay. And Cherie, did you want to read from my copy?
I've got one open. I'll get it right now. I'm, just getting home and stuff. So, but I haven't got it.
You're fine. No hurries, no rush, no big deal.
Right now,
if you'll watch chat for me too while we're reading, you and Jack can watch chat. That would be great.
Okay.
Alice isn't going to be here. I think I mentioned Alice in Wrongful Conviction Land had a grandson sometime within the last 24 hours. So I didn't invite her to be on the panel with us because she's got more important things to do right now. So, and Susan's out partying again, by the way, just so everybody knows. Okay. So I will, Cherie, do you want me to start with this court part? It's just a little bit.
Yes, please.
Okay. So we're going to start on line 2 with the judge. All right, Detective Davis, you're still under oath.
Yes, sir.
You may proceed. Mr. Gigger, that's me. Detective, you heard Ms. Grate's testimony about your initial contact with her on Oklahoma County Jail. Tell me how her name was given to you or how she was identified as a potential suspect in this investigation.
She was in a stack of packets that I received from Lieutenant Musney.
Same type of stuff we talked about at length yesterday. He gave you a list of, I don't want to use that word. He gave you some information that he got from the Unit 800 master list and the CIU list. He made notes and then he gave you a packet and said, go talk to her.
Correct.
Thank you. How did you contact her? How did you find her?
Checked EJS and found that she was in jail.
You just used a word you just used a word that we used yet. What's EJS?
It is the county jail operates it, and we can pull up EJS and it'll tell us. You can run a name and you can tell if someone's in jail, if they've ever been in jail.
Is it yet another database?
Yes.
All right. One more database law enforcement uses?
Yes.
All right. You also heard Mr. Grate testify about a telephone conversation. Do you remember that? Where he was contacted in regards to trying to find Rosetta? I'm sorry, you didn't do that.
Johnny Grate?
Yes, sir, ma'am.
I didn't call him. I went to his house.
I apologize. You heard about him talking about you guys visiting. Did you do that?
Yes.
Okay. And did you tell him you're looking for her?
Yes.
Did you tell him why?
Yes.
Okay. What did you tell him?
I told him that I wanted to talk to her and about a sexual assault.
And then you found her on your own, though in the county jail.
Right.
All right. You went to county jail. You talked to her. Again, I want to know if you can tell me, have you had an opportunity even to listen to that recorded interview before you testified?
Part of it.
What did you tell her whenever you walked in to start the conversation? Tell us how that went.
First thing I said is, "What's up with that hair?" Because it looked like it did today. And she said, "What's up with that face?" And we kind of just
Nice.
seemed to hit it off a little bit. And I said, "You probably don't even know why we're here," because I went over with my partner.
Okay. And did she respond to you?
Yeah, she said, "How do you know? Did he confess?"
When she said that, what'd you think?
I
When she said that, I apologize.
I knew what she was talking about.
So she apparently had assumed, strike that. Did you interview her at that time?
I did.
Did she give you information consistent with what she testified to today?
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, as a result of that, did you do what you had done with other victims in this regard? First of all, did she tell you the location where she first came in contact with Officer Holtzclaw?
Yes.
And was that location significant to you?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's the general area where he's coming in contact with all these girls.
I'm going to go ahead and hand you several different exhibits, ma'am. I'm going to give you 239, 242, 241, 243, 244, and 245. Do you recognize those documents?
I do. The same type documents that we've been getting on all the cases.
And are they consistent with your investigation and accurate in regards to trying to determine if contact was actually made at the area of 14th and Jordan?
Yes.
Offer 241, 243, 244, 245, 242, and 239.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. State's exhibit number 239, 242, 241, 243, 244, and 245 will be admitted.
I apologize. I thought I was unmuted. Clearly, I wasn't.
That's fine.
Freaking Monday overrun. Oh my God.
You're fine. It's no big deal. Okay. Shoot. I'm wondering if this is a good time to, let's see. Should we go ahead and show this animated thing? It's
Uh,
not part of, because they don't
Or do
really
you-
go in.
It's fixing to come up.
Or do you
Line
want to
9.
wait? Do you want to wait until? I mean, yeah, go ahead. Sure, that's 239. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's one of these exhibits. Yeah.
Yeah, line 9. He says, first of all, Detective, I want you to show you State's Exhibit number 239.
Okay. All right. Let's see how. Okay, I'm going to have to do some explaining here because I could not get this to flip when I was converting it. So you're not going to be able to see that. Shoot.
I've got an older program that does the same thing, Rhonda. It just, and there's no, if there's a way to unflip it and unmirror it, I haven't figured it out.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I'll just do a screen share of it. That way I can, I don't know what's, I'll have to, let's see. Because it's kind of important, what I want to show you. But I got to kind of explain it to you what's going to happen because it's backwards, it's mirrored. So unless somebody in the chat can tell me a way how to flip it real quick, this is what I'm going to have to do. Okay, so is everybody getting that full screen on Streamyard or on can you guys see that in full screen?
You're not sharing.
You're not sharing yet.
Crap.
You need to
It
turn
might
that on.
not.
And if it's flipped on, if it's flipped on your screen, Rhonda, then you got another problem.
Oh, it's flipped on my screen. I'm just going to have to.
Oh.
What do you mean? Oh, you're scaring me.
Well, when yeah, like I was saying earlier, I use Prism to stream with. I have an older program that when it appears on through Prism into YouTube, it's flipped and mirrored, but on my screen it's normal.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, yeah, no, it's flipped on my screen too. That's why I'm so frustrated with it.
Oh, well, that's different.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
There should be an option. There should be an option in that program to unmirror it.
I thought so too, but I couldn't find it. So bear with me, guys, as I try to explain it to you why it's backwards. Okay, let's see. Okay, because it's kind of a big deal. So this is about, I don't know why it says 18 minutes because it certainly isn't that long. I probably double clicked it. Okay, so before we start, imagine this map here that that you can see on the screen just flipped over the other way. Because in reality, Culbertson, which is right here, is over here. And all of this stuff over here is 14th and Jordan. And it's actually over here to the right side of us. But I just want to give you an idea of how this animated AVL works. And if I can get it to flip at some point in the future, I'll put it in the Rosetta Grate room in my Discord. But for now, I will try to explain it to you. So what you're going to see is over here on the left, you're going to see something flash. And what that's going to be is it's the animation of the AVL on Daniel's vehicle on the day of this, what's it called? Stop. So I'm telling you, it's like Monday. In my mind, it's Monday. So here is, and then I'm going to kind of fast forward through it a little bit because it sits there. Once it flashes, it just kind of sits there for a few minutes because it's sitting idle while he's doing this stop, right? And all of these little dots here that you can see are points in his AVL allegedly tracks. So I'm going to go ahead and start it. Watch really close right up here in this left corner, and you'll see that those words and letters flash. Okay, you should have been able to see that. over here. That shows when he started this traffic stop. So that's going to go for several minutes. And I'll kind of move it along because nothing really happens until he starts moving. And then you're going to see those letters start tracking down around this way and then up and over. So
Was it 4 minutes that he was there?
the total length, okay, there's one right there. See him moving now?
Okay, less.
Yeah. So now he's moving and he's going to go over to this way. And this is indicating every time you see him, you see that movement, it's giving you a different time of when he went by. Now, something that's interesting, and he's probably stopped at a stop sign here or something, I'm guessing. Now, the reason I want you to see this is pretty significant, and it was you couldn't really tell here because he was kind of going at a steady speed, and so it was just all tracking on top of each other. Then he turns, and now he's over on Culbertson, and he gets over here to right there, and then he's going to stop. Okay, and that is pretty much the end of it, because it doesn't show. I'm going to stop sharing that now because it's really annoying me. That doesn't show when he left, nor does the actual AVL maps that they gave, that they use for exhibits. The times in the AVL are way off. Well, I say way off because let's face it, in crimes, minutes and seconds matter. I think we can all agree on that. And I don't know if it's a GIF file or not. TTM, I'm not sure what, it's an AVI file is what it came into originally. Then I converted it to MP4, but I couldn't flip it. In its AVI form, it's the way it's supposed to be. I don't know what happened. Anyway, so when they get to because Rosetta Grate, if you remember back to last week when she testified, she said that they got to her house on 633 Culbertson. She went in, he followed her, she showed him this is the different rooms downstairs. Then he walked upstairs, followed her upstairs allegedly, and told her to sit down on the bed. She sat down. He unzipped his fly and his penis popped out of, apparently it was so powerful. And she said that she gave him oral sex for 5 to 10 minutes. And then he pushed her back on the bed and told her to lay back. And he got on top of her and he had performed vaginal sex with her, or rape with her, because it didn't happen, but for 5 to 10 minutes more. So even if we go the lowest amount of time, 5 minutes for oral and 5 minutes for vaginal, his car still was not there long enough to have committed the crimes that she said he did, unless she wants to backtrack altogether and say it was just 10 minutes for all of it. But even that is not enough, is too much, because he wasn't there that long, and I can show you evidence of that later too. But for now, let's get back to the transcript. Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm kind of in another world. I'm just really upset about this trial testimony though. Okay, so that's the animated AVL. So we'll get back to, now they're going to talk about it here, starting with line 9, Mr. Digger. First of all, Detective, I want to show you State's Exhibit number 239. Is this another AVL map?
Yes, it is.
If I back it up, are we looking at, well, it's hard to see. Jordan Avenue is shown in yellow.
Correct.
And is this 14th Street?
Correct.
If I move it up just a little bit, the AVL shows on April 24th at 7:07. This is not military time. This is regular time, the way normal people tell time.
Correct.
Showing 0 knots at 7:05:55.
7:07:55.
7:07:55. That's what I said.
Yes.
7:12:55.
Yes.
7:02:55. So it looks like there's several 0 points, but basically from 7:02 to 7:12, give or take 4 minutes and 59 seconds on either end, correct?
Correct.
Shouldn't be able to give and take anything. Were you able to determine whether or not the defendant in this case was on duty and working that day?
Yes.
Again, this is at 7 in the afternoon, so would it be the lineup for April 24th?
Yes.
State's Exhibit number 244. Does it show, and I'll move it over, he's on duty, 1782, Officer Holtzclaw. Was he working that day?
Yes.
The Varuna log, the Varuna log is state's number 243, shows at 1906. Now we're back to military time. Is that 7:06?
Yes.
Is that consistent with the AVL map showing a 0 speed at that location Rosetta Grate said she encountered this defendant?
Yes.
And we see that Officer Holtzclaw's badge number computer terminal was Rosetta Grate.
Correct.
CIU log 241 dated April 24th, 2014. This log was run at 1900 hours. Again, that's 7 p.m.
Right.
The second entry, ma'am, on that Charlie 45, that's Officer Holtzclaw's unit.
Yes.
Rosetta Grate and her date of birth, and does it show that she was clear for warrants at that time?
Yes.
Was it significant to you that at this point that you were able to find, and let me ask a predicate question. Had you run AVL to determine where Rosetta Grate possibly could have been on April 24th before you went and talked to her?
There's no way to do that.
Okay, and what do you mean?
Well, one, I don't have a date to run.
Well, you had the AVL, you had the CIU and Varuna run that Musme had gone through and given to you, correct?
Okay, yeah, correct.
Little pause here. I think that was a, what do you call that, Jack?
Freudian
Embedded
slip.
confession.
Oh, embedded
Freudian
confession.
slip.
Yeah,
Embedded
absolutely.
confession. Yeah.
Betcha. You betcha it is.
That's what I think. Okay. Okay, but tell me about AVL if you don't know the location to look.
If you don't know the location to look, I could say, can you give me the location he was for a 10-hour shift? It's going to just look like a giant ink blot. I mean, because it'll just be everywhere. There's no way.
The cars go all over. But in fairness, you did have a time because it shows on the Varuna when it ran. So you could have tried to find the time, correct?
Yes, I could have found the time. Yes.
Guys in chats paid really close attention to all that and all this. Oh. So my question is, did you do that before you interviewed Rosetta Grate?
No.
Okay. And was that by design?
Yes.
Why?
Because I didn't want, well, I wanted her to tell me where so that I could verify where. Like if she told me 23rd and Martin Luther King and then he wasn't there and the times didn't match up and the AVL didn't match up, then I would know that something's wrong with her story. And it would make me dig a little bit more to see if she's telling the truth. But when she told me it was 14th and Jordan, she told me it was daylight, and then I compare the times with Varuna and crime information, and I find him at 14th and Jordan with the times that match up with Varuna and crime information. I know she's telling me the truth. Oh my God. Is that the only way it could happen?
It's the only possible way.
What
No
a
other
That's right.
possible way.
You heard it. You've heard it from Detective Blinker mouth.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There's no telling where that mouth has been or what'll come out of it. That I'm just saying. I'm just letting y'all know. Okay.
It's. This is just. Oh, okay. I'll behave. Ma'am, in her interview with you at the jail, did she tell you that eventually after their contact that he had transported her to her house to the house on Culbertson?
Yes.
And in your investigation, did you try to look at the AVL to see if that was consistent? And does it show him going in a direction toward her house?
Yes.
This is already in evidence, but State's Exhibit number 208, which was shown to Ms. Grate today, it doesn't have all the AVL points on it. But is this a map that you asked the AVL department to generate in regards to your investigation of Ms. Grate's allegations?
Yes.
Just so everybody knows. And I'll pull these all up after we're done reading and show you all these things. I'm going to put them in her room as well. Just so you guys are aware, that exhibit is just a Google map drawing where they drew the line. They drew the red line, how to get there. He says there's no AVL points because they have very, very little about the AVL movement in this particular case, and I'll talk to you guys about that when we're done.
So it's a bit of an illusion he's trying to create here.
Yeah, he's just got the map up there, and he's just saying, okay, so this isn't an AVL map, and there's no points on it, but this is the direction they went, right? And it's just a Google Air map from Google Maps.
That's such bullcrap. It's not an AVL map.
No, it's not.
Scott Adams hair should have been on fire and saying, Judge, I don't want this admitted because it's not really what he's saying that it is.
Yeah.
This guy.
Well, there's a reason, because with the other accusers, they use an AVL map with all the points and the times of the complete, like before the stop.
Right.
The whole, if he transported someone somewhere, the whole route, and then him driving away.
Yeah.
And for some reason in this case, they're using that Google map with the whole route that, that she says on a red line. And then the other documents are an AVL map of just 14th and Jordan. And then a separate AVL map of him rolling up to her house at Culbertson, which is why is it different for her part of her case in this trial? Why is it different? She said before, yeah, these are all the same documents that we're using for every accuser. No, it's not. They're not doing the same thing here.
No, not at all. I know it's probably, this isn't the ideal way that I want to do this, but I'm going to show you these two maps because I feel like it's going to mean more to you while we're You know what I mean?
Kay and Rhonda, TJ's got a question. He's asked, it's a web crawler map.
Oh, it's a rep. Oh, I don't know what that is.
Web crawler was that's an old browser from long ago, if I'm remembering correctly. I think that's right.
Okay.
The hoe train.
The whole
DJ.
train.
If I could pin that message, I'd be pinning that one.
Oh gosh. Okay, so here's what they're talking about right now. I went through this. I went over this for, I don't know, a couple of hours because I had to make sure I was getting this right. So here's what I did. This is 14th and Jordan. Am I sharing this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
This is why I need my second monitor, huh, Jack?
Yep.
I'll do that this weekend. So this is 14th and Jordan, and I've marked it down here, 14th, and then Jordan runs west and south. Or
West
north and south.
Oh,
No, north and south. I am so flustered. This
Oh my
testimony
gosh.
has me so fucked up, I can't even tell you. So Jordan Avenue runs north and south, and 14th runs east and west. This number one is he's up here at Jordan, and he slows down to 2 knots right here at 6:57:54. This is where he stops, according to the AVL. He's at 0 knots at 7:02:55 p.m. And then his second hit, is over here. I marked it over here. Is 7:07:55 p.m. at 0 speed, and that's legit with him being idle, talking to her or whatever. But the thing of it is, it's a lot. It's not like it's right here on 14th, because I think she was coming from Tabitha Barnes's house. That's just my own belief, which is the case, which could be the case because Tabitha Barnes's house is right here. I should have marked that, but it's right here is where Tabitha Barnes' house is. If he stopped her right here at 14th and Jordan, it's more like he was on Jordan when he stopped her. Let's just, I just want to make that clear. So he stopped for however much time. That's number 2. The third time that we get any notice is 7:12:55 at 0 knots, which is also consistent with him being stopped and idle while he's talking to her. And then he starts moving again here at 7:15:34 is the next hit. And so the total, if I did the math right, you guys know how I am with math, but I worked on it for a little minute, and I came up with 13 minutes and 19 seconds, I believe, or 19 tenths of a second or something. Tell me again, Kay. I did. I had a dyslexic moment with the minutes, times, and hours thing.
13 minutes, 19 seconds.
13 minutes, 19 seconds was how long he was stopped there. According to Kim Davis, that's way too long. And then here is a map from Culbertson. That's all we get. We get that over there. And then we don't get anything else. We don't get anything going from Culbertson or from Jordan or 14th Street to Culbertson. We get this. That's it. That's all. And right here, I'm pretty sure I did. Okay, yeah, I did. Here is where we finally have another AVL map on this street right here. This is Culbertson Avenue right here. Here's the house on Culbertson. He arrives on, this doesn't make any sense to me. I showed this, did I show this one to you, Kay, this morning or yesterday? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this makes 0 sense. So he's going west on Culbertson to get to the house. The first point that we have was 7/21/04, which is way over here. I don't understand how we have nothing until 7/21/04. And I'm taking this right from their AVL map, and I put it all up here in order of time. So the second hit we get is 7/26/04 p.m., 0 speed. So he's now stopped, and there's been 5 minutes between that time and this time right here. And I put that up there. And then the third hit that we get is 5 minutes, 4 minutes and 99 seconds later, or whatever it is. We get the third hit at 7/29/43, right there. And then, weirdly, at 7/29/43, again, is a second hit at the same exact time as the third one. It makes no sense to me. But over here, you have these times over here randomly, it would seem like, where he's 7/20/42 going 16 knots and 7/20/54 at 0 knots right here on this little spot. That's all we get for evidence. So
it really must be why they didn't give us the whole map, is because she told the story about him going the wrong way, you know, to make it dramatic, I guess.
right.
And the
Well,
AV
and the court,
isn't going to back that up.
well, but the animated one did, because it goes and it takes that direction where she said he went south on 14th and then turned, you know, the animated AVL shows what she says. I want to know why none of this shows. The AVL maps show what she said. None of it does.
But they create an animated AVL. That's not
exactly.
That's not something that they don't, you know, input information to give me an AVL map or an animated AVL map. That's not a choice. That's something they create.
Yep.
So they can put whatever points they want in there.
Into the animated one. So that's all we have that says the direction that she claims is that animated one. I showed you exactly what we have for evidence as far as the two different AVL maps. We have the one over in the 14th and Jordan area, and then nothing, and then the one right on Culbertson, and that's it. And you guys remember, we've seen other, like Kay said, other maps where we've seen all of the different points. Sometimes some of them so many that I couldn't even go through them and define which mark went to which time or anything, because they've been so, you know, so crowded with AVL data. Not in this one, because I think it's all a big fat fucking lie. That whole section is made up. Okay, I think that's all the stopping. All the screen sharing I'll be doing for that at this point. But here he's saying all these times in this testimony, and if you're a juror, so everybody in chat, just listen to all of this. If you're a juror, are you keeping this shit in mind, straight in your mind? Because I've had to read this several times just so I can try to figure out what he's saying. I don't remember where I left off. Sorry, you guys.
I think if I were a juror and they were showing me all these different things, the only thing that would really stick in my mind would be that full map that has the red line. That's what I would.
Yeah.
That's what I would.
Yeah.
Grasp, I guess.
That's the one that would stick with you. I'm trying to see. I know I have that somewhere, but I sure as hell can't find it, which is weird. But I showed it to you guys last week, though, I think. That. So anyway, I was just sharing all my stuff with you guys. That's awesome. Okay, so this is. Okay, was I line 13? Is that where I'll start at line 13?
Yeah.
Just 'cause I'm not sure. Okay. Okay,
Let's-
and if we went,
let's-
go ahead.
Rhonda, sister, I'm sorry. Let's try to keep this, PG-13 or better. Okay.
Oh,
What
You said
happened?
you were sharing. You said you were sharing your screen with everyone, so I just thought I'd pop in here and
my
be a
files.
smart ass, as your older brother generally does. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
done.
yeah. Oh, you're always picking on me. Knock it off.
I know.
Okay. Okay, and if we went through point by point every second, every 5 seconds, the car is moving. Is that the path that Officer Holtzclaw's car traveled from about approximately 7 p.m. until 7:21?
Yes.
I just showed you guys that it's not, but anyway. Okay, and again, it was a 0 speed for a portion of that time, correct? At the 14th and Jordan?
Yes.
Was it significant to you whenever you saw not only that initial contact matched the location, but also his path of travel?
Yes. And his path of travel ended at her house.
No, it wasn't the path. Ma'am, in your experience as a police officer, is it unheard of for an officer to give somebody a ride?
It's not unheard of, no.
I'll show you. Judge, have I introduced 240?
No.
I have introduced 242, though, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm a dumbass and I don't know what I'm talking about, so I just want to check. Ma'am, 242, is this the CAD run for the stop at 14th and Jordan?
That's the right date. If you'll move it down just a little bit. Yeah, traffic stop, yes.
Okay, so 424 190048 is 7 p.m., 48 seconds after 7 p.m.
Correct.
Again, it says traffic stop. Was Miss Grate driving a car based upon her testimony?
No.
Was it significant to you that the CAD dispatcher either put it in as a traffic stop or Holtzclaw called it in as a traffic stop?
No.
For the reasons you testified yesterday?
Right.
The location shows 14th and Jordan.
Correct.
This call shows that it was closed out about 30 minutes later, almost to the second. Well, 29 minutes later, almost to the second, correct?
Correct.
And because it says VisiNet mobile interface, is that indicative to you that it was done by the officer in the police car itself closing this CAD call out?
Yes.
Down here, it shows secondary location, 1014, 633 Culbertson. What does that mean?
That means the dispatchers put in 2 Charlie 45 female, starting mileage given, and he's going 1014. That means you're transporting somebody to 633 Culbertson.
Okay, I'm going to play this radio traffic for you. Let's see, I think this is the one I want you to hear first.
Thursday, April 24, 2014, 19:08 and 11 seconds. (19:08 and 40 seconds). Thursday, April 24, 2014, 19:09 and 0 seconds. (19:09 and 20 seconds). (19:09 and 40 seconds). Thursday, April 24, 2014, 19:10 and 0 seconds. (19:10 and 20 seconds). (19:10 and 40 seconds). Thursday, April 24, 2014,
That's the left end is Grate, George, Robert, Adam, Tom, Edward, first name is Rosetta, Robert, Ocean, Sam, Edward, Tom, Adam, date of birth is 8/2/76, black female.
(19:11 and 20 seconds). (19:11 and 40 seconds). Thursday, April 24, 2014, 19:12 and 0 seconds. (19:12 and 20 seconds). (19:12 and 40 seconds). Thursday, April 24, 2014, 19:13 and 0 seconds. (19:13 and 20 seconds). (19:13 and 40 seconds). Thursday, April 24, 2014, 19:14 and 0 seconds. (19:14 and 20 seconds). (19:14 and 40 seconds). Thursday, April 24, 2014, 19:15 and 0 seconds.
Okay, so that was where he began when he called her in to whoops, let me see. I wanted to see where the
24,
Why
2014,
I don't have this already in my head is a surprise to me, but
Thursday, April 24,
okay, so at 19:08 he began his call to call in Grate for warrants. So you went to 19:08 to 19 minutes and to
7 minutes.
13, 7 minutes.
7 minutes of waiting for dispatch to say if she had warrants.
Right. Thank you. That's exactly what you said, much better than I. So that's how long he stood there and waited. That includes, so the time that he was stopped there for I think I said about a little over 13 minutes that he was there with her at 14th and Jordan. 7 minutes of that was just waiting for to find out if she had warrants or not. So
I'm sure he was talking to her while they were standing there. And you heard Rosetta Grate on the stand last week. She talks in all these run-on sentences and fragmented sentences, and
right.
she'll switch from subject to subject. Pretty nonsensical.
Right. Yeah, the 7 minutes that he was waiting, it wasn't that he was just sitting there, in silence. He's asking her questions. She clearly came from the direction of Tabitha Barnes's house. He was probably asking her, even though she said some other bullshit in her testimony last week, he was clearly questioning her, I'm betting, that, about if she had been over at that house on the corner of 15th and Jordan. I would almost guarantee that he was talking to her about that.
One
And
thing's for sure, he wasn't up in the bedroom during that time.
He was not up in the bedroom for sure. Yes. Yes. So that call. Yeah, it's a longer call, and like you saw, I cut out a lot of the dead space, but because it was really boring. But just waiting. Now this is what happens when he gets ready to leave 14th and Jordan. This one's pretty quick, and it was a little bit hard for me to understand right at the end, but check this one out.
.45 at 14th and Jordan. 45 is 1014 with a female of 633 Culberson. Drive starting mileage is 09. 4597, 8 miles, 11.
So he called it in when he left that area and took her to Culbertson. He called it in and he reported his mileage. And there's going to be testimony about that as we go further into this.
So you're saying that this where he was waiting, that was while they were still at 14th Jordan. They weren't at
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's that's right. Well, it's gonna get into that too. She's gonna make some shitty ass comments in her testimony about all that too. So
you saying a bad word?
I did say bad words. I'm not monetized yet, so we'll see what happens, guess. So, excuse me. I wanted to play those for you because what we don't have is evidence that he called in when he was at her house, when he left that scene, the house at Culbertson. We don't have that call. And we don't have any.
He closed that call on his computer. So
he just so there wouldn't have been a call.
That's the Visinet.
Okay.
Yeah. There are two ways to close a call. One is the Visinet, and it's your onboard computer where you can just push a button and it closes out the call. And the other one is obviously to call it into dispatch.
Okay, thank you. Kay knows about all these little details that I'm not as good with, so I appreciate you correcting me when it's absolutely appropriate. So, but I just wanted to play for you, and she doesn't testify that he never calls in or he, the transporting and all that. She doesn't claim that, but she just tries to turn it into you'll hear in the testimony when Scott Adams is cross-examining her. So I think that's all I have to play. So unless we have comments that we need to stop and discuss about, we'll get back to this. Okay, are there any questions or anything from anybody in the chat that hasn't been answered? Or it's hard for us when we're reading and stuff. It's hard to watch all that. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't. Let's see. Yeah, Yeah, you're good. You're good to go. Oh, wait.
Okay.
So they were making a big deal about, TJ says so they were making a big deal about how long the stop was, but it was dispatch fault.
Well, yeah, in a sense, I think so because like Kay said, it took him 7 minutes once he got in line, and that's what it is. Basically, they're waiting in line for to be okay. Everybody else is it's your turn. What do you got? And then it was about 7 minutes. So
Right.
7 of those 13 minutes, it was absolutely on dispatch. So good question, TJ. Okay, so I wanted you guys to hear all that, those calls and stuff. So I'll start on line 10 because I don't know where I left off. Line 10. Down here it shows secondary location 1014 633 Culbertson. What does that mean?
That means the dispatchers put in 2 Charlie 45 female, starting mileage given, and he's going 1014. That means you're transporting somebody to 633 Culbertson.
1014 is one of those 10 codes?
Right.
It's police talk, correct?
It's transport, right?
There's some other entries that give the Jordan address and then the Culbertson address. Do you know what this polygon lookup is down at the bottom? Do you know what that means?
I have no idea.
All right. Essentially, that's the CAD call, and it shows that he's on transporting or coming in contact with Ms. Grate for approximately 29 minutes.
Is he allowed to testify that that's what it is since she doesn't know? Yes.
Apparently.
Yeah, he testifies and leads all the time and gets away with it, so we just have to go with it.
Well, it wasn't a question. He just made a statement. But
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah. Yep. He did. Okay, line 3. According to the CAD run?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 240 and ask if you recognize what this map is.
Yes.
Okay, and what is that?
It's the map, the AVL map of 633 Culbertson Drive.
Is it the end of the transport from 14th and Jordan to Culbertson?
Yes.
Offer states 240.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit 240 will be admitted.
This is 240. I made reference earlier in the day to an apartment building. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Is what's shown that apartment building?
Yes.
And then going across the street, there's a little median, and then you have on this exhibit 633 Culbertson Drive highlighted and marked, correct?
Correct.
There are, if I have it right here, it looks like there's 5 different AVL data marks. One shows it's 7:20 p.m. and he's going 16 miles an hour. Do you see that on the far right of the screen?
Yes.
But then we get over the next one, if I'm not mistaken, would be at 7:21:04. He's at 1 mile an hour, right? Oh,
Right.
then there's a 7:20. This guy's, oh God, this makes me so angry. This part. This is all that stuff I was showing you in that Culbertson map that was so messed up and didn't make any sense. So this is what we're getting into. Then there's a 7:26:04, which would be consistent with the car being still for 5 minutes at a 0 speed and hit, correct?
Right.
Then it shows that there's another hit. And although it's still at 0, this one is only 3 minutes and 41 seconds later, as opposed to 5 minutes, right?
Right.
Did you make an inquiry of the ADL folks as to why, if it's at 0 speed, it would hit within 3 minutes?
They said sometimes that can happen.
Then you can't use the fucking ADL maps in any one of these cases.
Hey, if there's a glitch in that system, how the hell are they using that? That's why seriously, I thought that's what, allowable evidence in trial is. It has to be repeatable.
Yeah.
Not something that's going to glitch out. That's bullshit.
Oh, it gets worse. Because I'm telling you, this one pisses me off so bad about this stuff. Okay, sorry. They said something that can happen. Sometimes there's a glitch and it just does it then.
Right.
And then at 7:29, it shows a 0 speed as well.
Right. It showed that twice.
I'm sorry. That's what I just asked you. I apologize. And again, this map doesn't show another hit when he's leaving, correct?
Correct.
Guys, I'm telling you, if you're following along and paying attention, this should be pissing you off as much as it's got me pissed off. Because there's a glitch, even if it's just in one of these cases, and I've looked at other ADL maps where I've had lots of questions, this one gives me every reason to go back now and look at every single ADL map, because I've already had questions with a lot of them, and figure out, spend the time to figure out if there's some bullshit going on, because I think there was.
Of course. He just admitted, so he actually knows that there's a problem. He wouldn't do that in open court otherwise. So he's getting it in, and everybody's just saying, okay, it's just a glitch, it's fine, it's just a computer program, don't worry about it.
Just a glitch. It happens sometimes. That is unallowable evidence, in my opinion. But
of course it is.
Yeah, it's very, very maddening. Okay, so then let's go back. Let me go back to line 1 here. And again, this map doesn't show another hit when he's leaving, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you remember asking anything about that as to why this map didn't show it?
I probably didn't. I probably didn't ask for it.
All right. In any event, was that consistent with what Miss Grate had told you and consistent with what Officer Holtzclaw told the CAD dispatcher he was doing?
Yes.
All right. You said earlier in your testimony that giving someone a ride was not unusual.
No, it's not.
When you get to the address that you're going, according to this, there's at least 8 minutes, and then there could be another 5 minutes, I guess, right before it would hit.
4 minutes and 59 seconds, yes.
Is that unusual to you as an officer?
Well, oh God, hang on,
Sam?
I'm sorry.
Come on. Oh.
I guess the doggy wants to read some too. It's okay. Don't be bogarting all the reading. The dog wants to read.
He's the boss
the
of the house.
Well,
he off at the testimony.
he may be wanting to buy Giger or Davis, and that's okay too. Oh wait, I'm muted. Sorry.
Well, I would think he's just dropping her off, which would take, I don't even know if it would hit 0 speed if he was dropping her off.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I'll just go by your house, and when I get close, you jump out.
Yeah, just open the door and get out. I'm not going to slow down though.
Which she can't do. And Davis is going to clear this up now. She's going to fix that. Oh. Because it could be that you dropped her off and get going again in 5 minutes, and then the thing wouldn't hit.
Yeah, because they can't get out of the car in the back seat themselves. So he'd have to just open the door, let her out, and then drive away.
When you found this information, was that significant to you in your investigation?
Yes, because he stayed there for an extended, what I thought was an unusually long time to be dropping somebody off.
But how does she know that? Because, never mind. Further, Detective, State's Exhibit number 245 is Officer Holtzclaw's daily activity report for 4/24/14, correct? His shift beginning 4/24/14.
Yes,
Would have ended at 2 p.m. on 245.
2 a.m.
2 a.m. on 4/25.
Correct.
If I go down to, and we track down his activity starting at 1600, which is 4 o'clock when the shift begins, correct?
Right.
When I get down to the traffic stop at 14th and Jordan, he has out on subject, which would be consistent with being out on Miss Grate.
Right.
It shows it starts at 1850, which would be 650, and goes to 1920, correct?
Yes.
The next entry, starting at 1920 to 1930, he's got Granada and King. Do you know what that means?
It's a location, but I don't know where it is.
Do you know, is there a Granada Street in the northeast part of Oklahoma City and Martin Luther King Street? And
Yes.
then it says officer. What does that mean to you?
That he's going to help another officer.
So he's going to another call at 1920.
Yes.
It's what he put on his log sheet.
Yes.
Is it significant to you that the CAD call, yes ma'am, the CAD call shows that he clicked out on his computer at 1929, correct?
Correct.
Is it significant to you that he doesn't indicate the Culbertson address and being there for anywhere from 8 to 12 to 13 minutes?
It's not a big deal that he didn't write the Culbertson address down because it's all part of one thing. But I found it odd that he kind of altered his times.
He didn't alter his times. He rounded up or down to the nearest 5 or 10 from what I've been able to see in his CAD calls or his
Activity log?
activity logs. Yes. He put, like, he didn't do 1929, he did 1930. He rounded it up or down, into 5 or 10. Consistently. It's odd. Was it significant to you in your investigation, considering the allegations that Ms. Grate was making?
Well, because I don't know if it's on the activity card, it puts him at the house less time, which I thought was significant.
Because that's the time he was there. Stupid. According to the state's exhibit number 240, his activity card shows him being done with that at 7:20, correct?
Correct.
But when we look at the AVL, he's arriving at 7:21, and that's the time period that's not accounted for in his activity card, right?
Right.
Ma'am, in addition to that, did you also obtain the radio traffic associated with this traffic stop and transport and those types of things?
I did.
Give you states number 246. Does that disc contain the radio traffic relevant to Officer Holtzclaw's contact with the different dispatchers for this stop
Yes.
and transport? Is it accurate?
Yes.
Offer states 246.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit number 246 will be admitted.
Now, these obviously aren't in order of sequence, but he's at Culbertson at that point.
Wait. Why isn't he playing them in order?
Because he
I
does
don't know.
everything he can to confuse the jury
Confuse
in
the
this
jury.
whole case.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's so. I mean, Scott Adams should have been over there kicking him right in the nads. I'm sorry. What?
Well, I don't.
Anyway.
I mean, could he really? What could he really do? I mean,
That's
Well, he
true.
could object.
I
He
mean,
could've-
I don't think he couldn't really object to how he decides
Yeah, he
to put
couldn't.
his case on.
I know.
That's
No,
true.
probably not. Not his case in chief. No, the judge would have said no, overruled. He can put it on however he wants. But it's really he could have argued.
I mean,
It's
Yeah.
really confusing and because it's out of order.
yeah, you're right. He could have made. He could have questioned. He could have crafted
Gotten it
a
on the record.
question that said
Yeah.
something like, you know, do you think this would be confusing to the jury, not going in chronological order when you're
Absolutely.
or some, I don't know how you
Absolutely.
put it on the record.
I think that. Well, I think that's exactly how you would do it, Kate. It's exactly what you just said.
Exactly. And yeah, just to make a record. Exactly. Because you notice when I played them, I wanted to make sure I was playing them in order. And when I was looking
Of
at them on
course.
my screen, I was like, wait a second, is this, oh yeah, this goes first and then this one's the one we show next. Yeah.
Context is everything. If you take
Yes.
something out of context, you can, just like Kaczorski in the Avery case, you can make aliens out of that shit,
Yep, exactly. You can do anything you want, as far as confusing or altering, it's just, you might as well just give everybody in the fucking jury box some magic mushrooms, for fuck's sake.
Hey, I want to be in your court. I want to be in your courtroom. You're cool.
Well, shit. God, it's just so, it makes me angry.
I know.
Okay. We'll go back to line 4. These obviously aren't in order of sequence, but he's at Culbertson at that point.
No, he's 1014 to Culbertson.
He's transporting to Culbertson.
Correct.
Thank you for. That's why I want you to tell me what it is. But instead, I'm just going to go ahead and keep on talking and testifying for you.
Correct.
Sorry, okay. Line 12.
Oh, he just went 1097, which means he's arriving at Culbertson.
Did we hear that 1097 in the call? I
don't think
It was
so.
a little hard. Some of it was a little bit hard to understand. So, but
Possibly. I don't remember hearing it, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember hearing 1097.
I
but
don't
maybe
remember
I missed
hearing 1097, but whatever. Okay. Line 15. They played the exhibit. That's running with the crime information unit.
Correct.
Oh, and then they played the other exhibit. What's that?
That's him getting in line to run her. So that one, if you're doing it in order, should have been played before
Before he actually gave.
Right.
Yeah, Giger. Son of a bitch.
You're the son of a bitch. Got one at 14th and Jordan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I lost my freaking place.
Line two.
Line 2.
He's going out on one at 14th and Jordan.
Thank you. Is that him being dispatched to Grenada and Martin Luther King?
Right. I didn't hear a call dispatching him there.
I didn't either.
I don't think we have that evidence or that call.
No,
I know
I'll
of.
have to check.
Yeah. That's exhibit 246. Okay. And then, okay, so
we
246
definitely
was
have it
played.
if it's an exhibit.
Yeah. I couldn't find it.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean anything either. Because I don't know how to look for that stuff. I don't know. I have to depend on you to get me stuff. I probably didn't ask. Okay, line 9. What is that?
Crime information telling him that Rosetta didn't have any warrants.
Okay, that's the one I played. Okay. All right, Detective, I know those are somewhat disjointed and out of order, but at any point during the radio traffic, did you hear Officer Holtzclaw tell the dispatcher that he's going into a house?
No.
Is that significant to you?
Yes.
Why?
Well, that's terrible officer safety for one. And he had no reason to go in the house. So I'm thinking he's not telling dispatch because he doesn't want dispatch to know he's going in a house.
That's your assumption?
That's my assumption.
That's all
Object
it
to
is,
the
an
spec-
assumption. Sorry.
Object to speculation.
Thank God. Fuck. I'm sorry.
All right, sustained.
Detective, whenever you were interviewing Ms. Grate, and for that matter, whenever she testified in this case, either today or the one time previously, do you recall her saying that Officer Holtzclaw relatively quickly began talking to her about prostitution and things she does and her specialty?
Yes.
Do you remember yesterday you telling the jury that it was significant to you that he asked Florine Mathis if she was a prostitute?
Yes.
Do you remember the date of Florine Mathis's potential assault? If I told you it was either March 25th or April 14th,
The assault
Just testify for her.
the assault was April 14th or March. Yes. So that was before this. Yes.
my head hurts.
What the hell is all this like? This is a really cohesive story they got going here.
More confusion for the jury.
Yep. Uh-huh.
They're probably thinking about what's for lunch.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Okay, so this, if it happened on the 14th, this would be approximately 10 days later.
Yes.
And is 14th and Jordan in very close proximity to where Florine Mathis was stopped approximately between 15th and 16th and Jordan?
Yes.
Are those two, the fact that those two victims gave you information that he started inquiring about prostitution significant to you?
Yes.
Why?
Your Honor, may I approach?
Come up.
This is precisely what the court prevented me from getting into when I was trying to get into her prostitution conviction. Now because he's looking at it on Verona, that's the point I'm trying to make. He's looking to see that they've got all these convictions for prostitution or they've been arrested for engaging in acts of lewdness. And he's going into, was it significant that he talked about it? Yeah, they make it sound real nefarious, but he's sitting there looking at the computer screen that says all this. But then I can't inquire into what he's seeing on the screen. The court won't let me. Now he's painted it up and making it sound all nefarious, and he's asking Miss Grate and Florine Mathis about whether or not they're prostitutes when he's staring at a screen. That's telling him that, but I can't get into it, but he can. So it just doesn't seem like it's very fair, Judge.
Verona doesn't show that Florine Mathis had any prostitution arrests. And break, pause. And as I'm reading this the first and second time, even the second time after I've read through all of this, I'm thinking, why the fuck are we talking about Florine Mathis? This is not Florine's case. This is Rosetta Grate's case.
That's right. He's mixing the two.
Yep. Okay. Verona doesn't show that Florine Mathis had any prostitution arrests, and that was the exact point. Verona's in evidence, and it doesn't show that. The only evidence that came in that she was involved in prostitution earlier in her life was during the interview that she volunteered with Detective Davis. And Officer Holtzclaw did not know anything about it. And I'm not going to go into specific acts. clearly, Miss Grates testified that she's been a prostitute. I think she was very forthcoming with that.
Oh, well.
Trust me, Gigger thinks Rosetta Grate walks on water, you guys. But that's for another time. The point is, it's significant is because he is in the exact same location. Because that was his fucking patrol area.
I was going to say, doesn't he patrol that area? Why wouldn't he?
Yes.
Well,
He probably would like to go to a different area and not have to go down that road again.
Well, he's going to be on that road a lot because he's watching known drug houses, and Tabitha Barnes' house is a known drug house. We know that Florine Mathis claimed to be Tabitha Barnes' housekeeper because I guess she didn't want to say that she was her crack dealer.
Kay, I bet you there's other drug houses that are not even mentioned in this case at all that Daniel was also watching that we know nothing about.
Yeah, there were several that he was watching. You're right.
Yeah.
So.
But remember, they showed Rosetta a picture of Tabitha Barnes' house during her testimony so that she could say, you know, that wasn't the house where she bought her crack.
Right,
Like
it was at the ramp house.
Like she's going to say, oh, yeah, that's my crack dealer, and her name's Tabitha Barnes.
Exactly.
She lives right there.
Yep.
Snitches get stitches.
Right. It's crazy.
TJ is going just having a ball in chat here by himself. Thanks, TJ. I'm just looking back, and it's just TJ's saying all the right things, so I appreciate that. Everybody else, whoever else is still here, join in if you've got any questions, for sure.
Where's Liam?
Liam's gonna.
Yeah, he's not gonna get a gold star for today. Just saying.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, I think Claire's got a show going on tonight, and he's a mod on her channel. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He was her mod before he was mine.
Gotcha.
Okay, back to line 11. And I'm not going to get into specific acts. Clearly, Miss Grates testified she's been a prostitute. She's still a fucking prostitute. Come on. I think she was very forthcoming with that. The point is, it's significant is because he's in the exact same location. He's contacting them, and he's bringing up the prostitution on both times. This time, he has one that says she is. And what does he do? He takes her to the house. It's a fair question. It's not.
Well, Mr. Giggers brought up about the questioning of prostitution. You may inquire and you may ask leading questions about, is there any way that he could know about whatever you want to bring up as far as prostitution, because it's been brought up in direct examination.
But again, the state, that's my whole point. Whenever, hang on one second. Whenever I had Ms. Grate on the stand, I was trying to get into that because they had made an issue about Officer Holtzclaw bringing up the fact with Miss Mathis whether or not she's a prostitute, which she admits later to the detective that she was. But whenever I tried to get into the prostitution arrest on Ms. Grate, I was preventing from doing that, although she has multiple convictions for it. And it's shown up on Veruna that she has been arrested for prostitution on multiple times. The court would not let me get into it. What they have done, they've intentionally excluded me from asking about it. But then they get up here. This is the third witness I know of where they talk about prostitution. And they said, well, is that something he should be talking about? That's something real nefarious is going on here because he's asking whether or not they're about prostitution. And so I was ordered. I can't get into it, but then he gets up here after I've been prevented throughout the trial from asking about prostitution. Now he's jumping right back into, and he's comparing. Now he's doing exactly what we've talked about earlier, that he's bringing up the other cases. He's bringing up Miss Mathis, Miss Grate at the same time. And I thought that we were done with Miss Grate. I guess. I mean, Miss Mathis. Obviously, we're not. And so now we're bringing up the fact that he was asking about prostitution when I was preventing from inquiring into that at all.
Your Honor, again, her arrests or convictions are not proper impeachment. The fact that I talk about something with that is relevant when witnesses said I was a prostitute, I was in the area as a prostitute, and she's freely admitted she was a prostitute, does not open the door then to go in or misdemeanor convictions for prostitution. It's not proper impeachment. And whatever relevance it is, she has freely admitted that she was a prostitute. It is true that in the Varuna run that he would have had access. It shows that she has had contacts for prostitution. But that is not the case for Florine Mathis.
So what?
Florine Mathis.
Well, let me just say this. I don't specifically remember. You remember, or you probably remember it better than I do. But I don't specifically remember the question that was asked in my ruling specifically that you couldn't say anything about prostitution. I don't specifically remember that. If it was, clearly Mr. Giggers opened the door here about wasn't significant about prostitution concerning your investigation. So I'm going to allow you to cross-examine the witness about that.
Hold on a second, Jack. It's
Okay.
not about allowing him at this point to cross-examine her about that because
No.
now we can. That's not even like he doesn't need the judge's permission because Gigger opened the door so he can. But the point Adams is trying to make is they've never been allowed to talk about the prostitution in any of the other cases. When he tried to bring it up on cross-examinations. And but now Giggers brought it up and he's saying, oh, well, she's the one who mentioned it in her trial testimony, blah, 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 because she's such a wonderful person. So it pisses me off that he's saying, I'll allow you to cross-examine the witness about it. He gets to. You're not allowing him, you dickhole. He gets to. So.
Well, just thinking about an officer in the course of his doing his duty, his job in a situation like Daniel was in and other officers, and he's got some person in the car he's picked up that's running the street, female. I'm not trying to be sexist here at all. I'm just saying, and he asked that person about prostitution. Are you prostituting yourself? That doesn't necessarily mean anything to me. It's just in the course of doing his job, right? Because he's probably seen them out there before, right?
Well, and he sees it in the Varuna.
Well, apparently not on Florine, but I'm talking about Florine Mathis. Yeah, on
Florine
Rosetta.
Mathis.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying though. I mean, for Daniel, it's probably he sees a lot of women out there doing it, and he maybe pulled up Rena, didn't see anything, but asked her anyway. Basically, how are you supporting yourself? Are you prostituting? To me, it's not it's not an unfair question in Daniel's situation or any other police officer in that situation in Oklahoma City or any other big city. It's not a bad question at all, and I don't think it. Right, I'm just saying.
No, I agree with you. I completely agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. We ready?
Yeah. Sorry, line 25.
No, you're fine. He's brought up Ms. Mathis and Ms. Grate. So I'd be able to go into both those in regards to the prostitution issue because he's making it. Because I know what's going on here. He's looking at the screen when he talks about all this, and he's seeing whether or not they're being honest with him. And he's trying to talk to them. Now they want to make it sound nefarious, and he's picking on people that have prostitution arrest when that has never been an issue in this case.
He crossed Miss Mathis on that, and he crossed Detective Davis on the fact that on recross he got up and said, "Didn't she tell you during the interview that that's the case?" But again, Miss Mathis's involvement was not known yet. I'll acknowledge that he could have looked on the screen as to Miss Grate and seen there's prostitution stuff.
And there may be all kinds of other ways an officer may find out information from whatever else and inquire into that. But because you can ask the questions to this detective concerning why it was significant as it involves Miss Mathis and Miss Grate.
I apologize. I think my question was about the location and the subject matter of Officer Holtzclaw asking both Ms. Mathis and Ms. Grate about were they a prostitute or were they a working girl, whatever phrase that he used. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I believe I asked if that was significant to you in your investigation in comparing the location and the timing of these two contacts.
Yes.
Why was it significant?
Well, he's going to the same location, stopping girls, women, and he's trying to elicit a response or an answer to find out what kind of women they are. Well, that's true.
This is so much speculation that it's pissing me off.
It's really manipulative.
Oh God. Well, and it's she's not even saying it like it's speculation. She's saying it like it's a fact.
Right. He's going down there to hunt women at this location.
Yeah.
It's a cop and it's a patrol area. And Adam should be saying that.
I wonder how many officers that are working that northeast sector right now are doing these very same things, you know,
Probably all of them.
Houses, stopping people who are coming and going from those known drug houses, asking them if they're engaging in prostitution when they're dressed like a prostitute.
Yeah.
I mean, or
if
maybe these officers are scared to do that shit anymore.
Probably. If they know about what happened to Daniel, they would be.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Ms. Grate, was it her testimony that you recall answered affirmatively and told him, yes, I'm a prostitute, and they discussed it?
Judge, object to the form. It's leading.
All right, sustained.
I'll rephrase. After learning of the fact that she was a prostitute, is it significant to you that he transported her to his house when he did not do that with Miss Mathis?
Well, yes, because Miss Mathis said she wasn't a prostitute and he was only able to touch her breast. But Miss Grate said that she was a prostitute, and during the transport home, he's asking her what type of specialty and how she gives head. And he transports her home and puts his penis in her mouth.
She's so gross.
Like I've put here, that entire paragraph is bullshit, and it should have been stricken.
Objected.
In my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Stricken, yeah.
That's right. Yes.
My blood pressure, my head is like the blood. I can just feel it building up in my head again. Okay. Line 6. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Ma'am, in regards to prostitution, I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit number 409. State's Exhibit number 243 was the Varuna Run. It just shows that Officer Holtzclaw ran Rosetta Grate on 424, correct?
Correct.
Up until that time, everything, is that the actual Varuna Run that would have been available to Officer Holtzclaw if he pulled her up on his computer, excluding anything that might have been entered after 424 of 2014?
Yes.
Ma'am, there are indications on her Varuna that she's had arrests for prostitution. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there also in that information that other officers have come in contact with her for field interview cards and made notes about activities that were suspicious of prostitution?
Yes.
And that information would have been available to Officer Holtzclaw as well whenever he ran Rosetta Grate. Is that correct?
Correct.
And those would have been prior to the 4/24/2014 entry, correct?
Correct.
And the field interview cards essentially are saying that she's working as a prostitute at this location. At least that's what the inference is. Is that right?
Yes.
In your investigation of Officer Holtzclaw, did he fill out a field interview card whenever he came in contact with Rosetta Grate? And according to her, she told him that she was a prostitute, that she was doing crack in the area, and she'd been getting dates so frequently that she couldn't get home. Wow.
She said that, and he did not fill out a card.
Is the fact that he did not fill out an interview card when so many other officers had in that regard significant to you?
Yes.
Why?
Because if you're making that kind of contact with somebody and you're trying to elicit those responses, it's to gather intel. If you're doing it properly, you're gathering intel to put into the Varuna system so other people will know, okay, she's a prostitute now in the 16th and Jordan area, but he was not gathering intel for that purpose.
Again, how could she say that? She has no idea why he was gathering intel or if he was gathering intel. How can she just say that so blatantly and nobody objected to it? It just boggles my freaking mind, man.
Yep.
That's...
Adam should have been objecting to that outright.
I'm not a lawyer, but I know a few things that are just logic and common sense, but I know there is no logic or common sense in this case. Oh. Okay, line 6. Based on your investigation, had she also provided Officer Holtzclaw with information about where she was buying crack cocaine in the area?
Yes.
Would that have been significant to you, in your opinion, for an officer to put on a field interview card who's patrolling the streets of Northeast Oklahoma City, trying to keep them safe?
Object to the form, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to sustain it as to the form.
Would that be significant to you, and was it significant to you in your investigation that he did not do a field interview card indicating that information?
Yes.
Real quick, again, sorry. We don't know that he wasn't looking at information entered by another officer who had already entered that exact same information. So why would he need to enter it again? I'm just kind of asking a question. If it was already there, would he need to enter it again in a field interview card? I don't know. Anyway.
I think that would be, in my opinion, an officer's discretion one way or the other. Maybe yes, maybe no. You know, maybe to him it didn't need to be entered again. I don't know.
Well, and if that's true, and if that's an officer discretion thing, like Kay has said before, Daniel was not about the paperwork side of this job, and if he'd seen information that had already been entered that was exactly what he was doing, he would not have said, oh well, let me just do the same thing again, because he didn't like doing the paperwork as it was. So that's just my thought.
His goal here was drug houses, the drug trade. I mean, prostitution is so prevalent, and that's how a lot of people were able to make money. I don't recall a whole lot of prostitution arrests. He's not busting people's chops for doing what is common in that area, I guess. Just like he's not writing a bunch of tickets for no driver's license and no insurance verification and, stringing these people up with fines that they're never going to be able to ever get out from under. That wasn't, the record shows that that's not what he did.
right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, line 21. I think I may have asked Sergeant McBride, but is 633 Culbertson and the entirety of the contact that you documented to AVL in Oklahoma County?
Yes.
Just 1 second, Judge, please. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's about 5 minutes to 5, so I think we'll go ahead and break for the day and for Thursday and for Friday. So pursuant to our previous schedule, we will reconvene Monday at 9 a.m. Excuse me. So you're welcome to come up here Thursday and Friday if you want. We'll be doing other things, but it won't be this. So it won't. But I need to admonish you not to discuss the case, not to let anyone discuss the case with you. Don't watch any news reports, TV, read the newspaper, all those kinds of things. It wouldn't be proper for you to hear anything about this case that's not from inside this courthouse. If anyone should try to contact you about this case, talk to you about this case, report it to me or my staff immediately. So if you'll put your notepads in your chairs, I would ask you then at 9 o'clock to gather back into the jury deliberation room over here, and we'll continue with the trial. So with that, the jury will be in recess until 9 a.m. Monday. You can step down, Detective. Be seated, please. Mr. Holtzclaw, you're excused until Monday morning at 9 a.m. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be in recess.
Okay. Start on line 4, Cherie.
Let the record reflect that all the members of the jury are present. Counsel for the state, counsel for the defendant. The defendant is also present.
Line 7, Cherie.
Oh, okay, never mind. Mr. Adams, are you ready for your cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Detective Davis, if you'll retake the stand, let me remind you that you're still under oath. Don't forget that, Kim.
Yes, sir.
Give me just 1 second. I'm getting a drink of water.
You may proceed.
With his drink of water.
Yeah, you have my permission.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Davis, just so we can kind of remember where we left off, you had discussed your interview with Ms. Grate to the jury, correct?
Correct.
And that interview took place on August 27th of 2014.
Correct.
And that was at the Oklahoma County Jail.
Right.
Now, you described to the jury in your direct examination of her demeanor to when you say you walked into the room.
Yes.
I believe it was your testimony that you walked into the room. She immediately dropped her head and you looked at the other detective and said, "We need to grab a chair."
No, that was a different victim.
Okay. Well, tell us about Miss Grate when you first walked into the room.
She had the hairdo going on like she had going on here. And I said, "What's up with that hair?" And she said, "What's up with your face?" And I said, "You probably don't even know why we're here." And she's the one that said, "How did you know? Did he confess?"
Okay. Now, you would agree with me that quote, "How did you know? Did he confess?" end quote. And so that was the first words that she spoke to you?
Yes.
Now, you would agree with me that that interview that you're talking about on the 27th day of August of 2014 was audio taped, correct? And video.
Yes.
Do you recall on August the 15th, approximately 2 weeks prior to that, August the 15th of 2014, you actually went to her father's house, Johnny Grate?
I did. I don't remember the date. I could look, but yes, I went to her dad's prior to finding her in jail.
And you were trying to locate Miss Grate.
Yes.
And you went and saw Johnny Grate, correct?
Yes.
And you talked to him about what you were there for, correct?
I told him that I was wanting to talk to him about a sexual assault.
Well, it actually became more. Now, this, again, August the 15th of 2014, correct?
I'm going to look to make, because you really confused Willie on dates, and you're not going to confuse me.
Your Honor, I would object to the sidebar and just ask the...
All right, just answer the questions.
Yes, August 15th.
Now, you would agree with me that Ms. Liggins' alleged encounter happened when?
Miss Liggins?
Yes, ma'am. The first witness we listened to.
June 18th?
Okay. And Officer Holtzclaw was placed on leave when?
June 18th.
June 18th?
Yes.
Now, in your discussions with Ms. Grate, he talked to you about what had happened approximately a month prior to your meeting with him on August the 15th of 2014, correct?
Okay, say that one more time.
In your conversation with Mr. Grate on August the 15th of 2014, he had some discussions with you about an altercation that allegedly Rosetta had with an Oklahoma City cop 1 month prior to your interview, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you would agree with me that 1 month prior to your interview of Johnny Grate, Daniel Officer Holtzclaw was on leave.
1 month prior? Yes.
He did not have a uniform, gun, badge, or any of that stuff. He was not operating in Oklahoma City as an Oklahoma City police officer.
Correct.
And hadn't been for approximately 60 days up until your point in time of interviewing Johnny Grate.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the truth of the matter is when you walk into the county jail and you start to talk to Ms. Grate, she mentions that conversation that you had with her father.
Yes.
In fact, she knows exactly why you're there because you had been to see her father, and clearly from the communications we can see on the audio tape, she has communicated with her father, correct?
Yes.
So she knows that there's been an allegation out there that she has been sexually assaulted by an Oklahoma City police officer.
I don't know what her dad told her after I talked to Johnny. I don't know. Johnny never called me back to say, hey, I got a hold of Rosetta. And I don't know what he told Rosetta during their conversation. So I don't know what she knew exactly.
And you didn't ask. Okay. As a member of law enforcement here in the Oklahoma City community, you certainly have the ability to monitor everyone's phone calls in Oklahoma County Jail, correct?
Yes.
And y'all you do that on a daily basis.
Not daily, but I do it quite often.
Okay. It is not unusual at all for the district attorney's office to even have a computer in their office where every time an inmate makes a phone call anywhere that it shows up on their screen and they can actually listen. And it archives them, correct? It archives the inmate's phone calls.
I can go back. Yeah. Saves them. Yes.
Yes. So have you ever gone back and checked to see what Rosetta and Johnny talked about in the interim between the time that you talked to Johnny Grate and the time that you went and talked to Rosetta Grate? Did you ever go back and see what was said on the telephone?
No. I don't know if they even had that conversation while she was in jail.
Great investigating there, Kim. Okay. But you know that they had a conversation prior to you getting to see Miss Grace in the Oklahoma County Jail.
Yes.
And that's why she told you she knew you were what and that's why she told you she knew you were there?
Yeah, she said, are you the two that went to my daddy's house?
Correct.
Yes.
And you told her that you were.
Yeah, yes.
In that same conversation, you started out trying to get Miss Grace to talk to you, and you told her that you were offering her the DA's offer, or the DA was offering her rehab.
Well, when she started talking about her drug problem, I said yes, that we can get her some rehab if she wants it.
And she was even talking about what type of rehab, and it was discussed that she needed a long-term rehab.
Yes.
And there's
Hey,
some
really
discussion.
quickly, sorry,
Yep.
Jack.
No,
Really
no problem.
quickly,
No problem.
I just recommend everybody go back and listen to that first interview with Rosetta Grate in the jail, because that's not how that all went.
Hey, by the way, do we have, or is there any way to get the conversation between Johnny Grate and Rosetta?
Well, Scott didn't get it, but which is weird since he's asking Kim if she got it. He could have got it. We haven't been able to get it.
And I'm surprised that Brian Bates didn't go after that. Honestly,
Well,
that could have.
yeah. I mean, here's the deal. So at this time in 2014, the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Department was running the jail.
Right.
Since that time, it's a jail trust, a group of people that are running the jail.
So a third party.
Yeah, and they don't even have a contact. Well, maybe since we have a new attorney general, it might be different. But at the time we tried to get some calls, we couldn't even. We sent it to the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Department because they were running the jail at the time. And because there was no contact information to solicit open records from the jail trust, there was no address, no phone number, no way to reach these people.
That's crap.
I mean, it's crap, but it's how it is. I mean, you should do a little digging into what's going on in the Oklahoma County Jail under the direction of the jail trust.
I don't know how that's even legal. I don't even know how that's legal. I mean, I don't know Oklahoma law.
We don't care if it's legal or not in Oklahoma. We do whatever we want.
Apparently. I mean, open records requests are, I mean, I guess it would depend on how the law is written for the state, but they have to follow state law. I'll see if I can do a little digging into that and see what I can see. That's crazy.
Well, there are a couple open records seminars that the Attorney General's office is putting on. Susan and I are going to go to one in Tulsa next week.
Hell yeah.
It's in person?
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
That's great. I'd make some hard inquiries while you're there.
Yeah.
Ask around, dig, root around.
Mm-hmm. We will.
Absolutely. Okay. We ready to roll there, boss?
Where were we?
Line 9. Good to go?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. And there's some discussions, and then eventually you make the affirmative decision to tell her that the only person that can offer her long-term care or rehab would be the district attorney's office, correct?
I don't know if I said the only person. I told her we could help her get rehab if she wanted it.
You would agree with me that in no way, shape, or form can I go to Miss Grace and offer her rehab.
I don't know you could make phone calls for her, but which is what I could do, which is what the DA's office could do. I mean, I guess any of us could get her help if she wanted it.
So is it?
The DA's office is paying for it.
Yeah. So is it your testimony here today on a witness in a criminal case, and I, as a defense lawyer, can offer them anything of value for the testimony?
Oh, I didn't offer anything of value for her testimony.
You don't think that rehab would be something that she would not only need, but want? You didn't think of that?
Well, absolutely. I was just giving her any type of help that she wanted. I wasn't doing it because so she'd testify.
Okay, Kim. Okay, you would agree with me that if I went and saw Miss Grate and offered her anything of value whatsoever for her testimony or for her to even talk to me, it would be inappropriate, and I would be probably charged with a crime, correct?
I don't know. I don't know what the crime would be. You probably could be charged with a crime for offering something for the testimony, yes.
Whereas what that means is that Mr. Holtzclaw's representative, we can't offer anything of value to anyone in the world, correct?
Correct.
In regards to any of these allegations, however, the DA's office certainly can, and they do on a daily basis, correct?
Objection.
Overruled. You can answer if you know.
I don't know what they offer. I was just telling that if you look at the first of the interview before we even talked about what Holtzclaw did to her, is when I said we can get you help and get you rehab. She hadn't even told me what he had done to her yet. So I was just in there. She said something about rehab, and I said, we can get you some help if you need it. She's not the first victim I've offered that to, and she will not be the last.
Okay. So before she'd even told you anything had happened, you were already offering her the assistance that only the state can offer someone, correct?
No, I can offer that.
Can I offer that?
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
You just
can
said-
you imagine?
God.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. She just said he can't, and now she's
Right.
saying she doesn't know. Go ahead.
You're right.
God.
Okay. Well, can you imagine me going into an alleged victim in any case, offering them anything of value whatsoever to either talk to me or testify?
The offer wasn't on the table that if you talk to me, I'll get you rehab. It was just if you would like rehab, I could help you get fixed for rehab.
You know, does she not understand how stupid this comes across? She's there to talk to her about this case, and she's offering her rehab. Does she not get that, or is she just trying to be a weasel? Oh, wait, never mind. Okay, line 20. Did you help her with that rehab?
Yes.
And where did you get her placed?
I have no idea.
Who helped her with the rehab?
I got with the DA's office, and the DA's office has a contact, and they helped her with getting the rehab.
Has she been successful with that rehab?
I don't think so.
Was there any written agreement amongst either the DA's office or your office, the Oklahoma City Police Department, and Miss Grace about providing this rehab for her?
No.
Was there any compensation paid whatsoever to the rehab facility where Miss Grace allegedly attended?
I wouldn't have that knowledge.
Can you give us any benefit whatsoever regarding the name of this alleged rehab that Miss Grace went to?
I have no idea.
You just know that it happened.
I just gave her the contacts to get the rehab. I have no idea where she went.
You'd agree with me that as of August 27th, 2014, Miss Grace had not reported any inappropriate activity whatsoever amongst herself and Officer Holtzclaw to anyone in law enforcement.
I agree.
You also told the jury on direct examination that you believe that it was important that you found it significant, and I apologize, you found it significant that Officer Holtzclaw, in his discussions with Miss Grate, was asking her whether or not she was a working girl.
Yes.
Do you recall that?
Yes.
Well, do you recall Miss Grace telling you that she really was a working girl, correct?
Yes. Well, yes.
She was having trouble getting home that evening because every time she attempted to get home, she was picking up another date.
Correct.
Which means that she was prostituting herself to you, correct?
Correct.
And making money.
Yes.
Okay, and you don't, and certainly you would agree with me, and that it would not be unusual for an officer to give a ride home to someone who needed a ride home.
That's not unusual.
And it certainly would not be out of question for an officer to verify and make sure that actually a person that they had given a ride home truly lives in that home?
I don't know. I don't know that I'd follow her around the house to see if she lived there.
Regardless of what you would do or would not do, it would not be unreasonable for an officer here in our city to determine that the person they delivered to a location actually lives in that location, if they tell them such, correct?
That's true.
You've already listened to Ms. Grate's testimony, where she even testified that the valid state ID that she had on that day, which she didn't have in her possession, but the ID that she did have did not list Culbertson as her residence, correct?
Correct.
And so she had no ID on her. You would agree with that?
No ID with her address, yes.
No ID with her address.
Correct.
You've also testified that Ms. Grate told you earlier that Officer Holtzclaw had placed her purse on top of the car, correct?
Correct.
And that purse was no longer there when they got to the Culbertson, correct?
Correct.
And she realized that she had lost it, and Officer Holtzclaw had offered, under her version of events, to go back and attempt to retrieve the purse.
Correct.
Did you find that significant at all?
That she lost her purse?
That she either lost her purse or that Officer Holtzclaw had offered to go back and attempt to retrieve it?
Well, no, not really.
But in any event, after you learned these details, you went out and tried to corroborate her story, did you not?
I tried several. Well, yeah.
You sent officers out to attempt to locate the purse, and no such purse was found, correct?
Correct.
And she also told you about the fact that Officer Holtzclaw on that evening, as he was talking to her in the street at 14th and Jordan, noticed that she said that she had a crack pipe. She'd been smoking crack, correct?
Correct.
And he made her smash it on the ground.
Correct.
And you would agree with me that there's absolutely nothing improper on Officer Holtzclaw's behalf for doing such a thing, correct?
He could have put her in jail, but some officers do that.
And that's my whole purpose of asking the question. We certainly all know that the possession of a crack pipe is a drug paraphernalia, correct?
Correct.
And it's certainly illegal here in Oklahoma, correct?
Correct.
And across the United States, most places, well, every place that I can think of a crack pipe.
I think so, yes.
Okay, but some officers understand that by taking someone to jail, it takes 2 hours of their shift up, and they may just as soon go ahead and crush it there on the street, meaning that people can't use it anymore, and go on about their business, correct?
Correct.
And that happens every day here in Oklahoma City.
I don't know about every day, but it's a common occurrence.
Well, you sent some officers down to go check out that story to determine whether or not you could find a crushed crack pipe, correct?
I didn't expect to find anything, but I tried.
Okay. And that all they found were it appeared to be a bunch of glass, not just one crack pipe, but a number of things that had been smashed out there, out where they were checking, correct?
Correct.
So there was no way to identify that, in fact, that had truly happened. Is that a fair statement?
That's fair.
Now, would you agree with me that after your conversation with Ms. Grate on August 27th, 2014, she called you back about a week later, correct?
Let me get the date. She did call me back. She actually talked to my partner.
Ms. Holman?
Yes.
Ms. Holman is the lady sitting in the courtroom in the orange sweater over there on the first row, correct?
Correct.
Ms. Holman has also been a detective with the Oklahoma City for a number of years, correct?
Correct.
And she has a lot of experience in regards to to sex crimes, correct?
Correct.
And in any event, have you ever figured out what date it was that Ms. Grate called you?
September 2nd.
And September 2nd would have been approximately 5 or 6 days after your initial interview with Ms. Grate in the Oklahoma County Jail.
Correct.
Again, she would have had to call from a jail telephone, correct?
Correct.
we don't allow people to make unmonitored phone calls from Oklahoma County Jail, or law enforcement does not, correct?
I don't know.
Let me strike all that and just start over.
Okay.
In regards to the Oklahoma County Jail, you're aware of the fact that we discussed it earlier that every phone call made by an inmate is recorded, correct?
Right.
But how are some inmates, and I'm trying not to get off the subject, have cell phones, and that's all illegal, and they get in trouble for that, but at least the phone call that you received, or Miss Hallman received from Rosetta Grate early September of 14 through the jail system, correct?
Yes.
Have you done anything to retrieve that particular phone call?
No.
Has anyone that you're aware of? You're right. Has anyone that you're aware of at Oklahoma City done anything to retrieve that particular phone call?
No.
And that particular phone call, Miss Grates is still in jail, correct?
Correct.
And when she makes the contact with the Oklahoma City Police Department, she again mainly is talking about DNA evidence that can be found in the room, correct?
Correct.
And that's in the room of the exhibits that have been admitted here, and what the scientists testified to the other day about what she tested for DNA. Those are what we're talking about, correct?
Correct.
And specifically, she was talking about the rag that she wiped herself. And again, I'm not trying to be gross or start out a bad Monday.
I understand.
It's where we are. She talked about wiping herself with a rag, correct?
Correct.
And she had previously told you that she believed that also Holtzclaw had actually ejaculated, correct?
Yes.
And you agree with me that if he had ejaculated, certainly there would be DNA in the room.
If he hadn't had a vasectomy.
All right. Do you know whether or not Officer Holtzclaw, at 27 years of age, had had a vasectomy?
I don't know that. I don't know that I ever asked. I'm going to assume that he hadn't.
Okay, well, in any event, she's telling you specifically, and this is about the rag. She also tells you about the bed, correct?
Correct.
And you heard Johnny Grate say that that is the same bed that was in there when Miss Grate stayed there, correct?
Johnny didn't say that. Willie did.
Miss Grate did. Miss Grate identified the bed in the room in the photographs as the bed that was in there.
Yes.
When she lived in that room, correct?
Yes.
She repeatedly told you that to check the mattress covering, correct?
I think there was a lot of confusion on that, but kind of the bed rail or the box springs covering.
Okay. Did you hear of any of whenever the search warrant transpired and all officers entered 633 Culberson?
Yes.
You were actually present.
I was there.
Okay. Did anyone test or take into evidence the plastic covering of the box springs or anything on the bed?
No.
Okay. Was anything of the bed taken as evidentiary value to be tested later, such as the seat back was taken off the chair?
No.
Okay. And then the chair, she specifically stated that no one else had ever sat or used that chair, correct?
Yes.
And she said that she was wiping her hand on that chair, correct?
Yes.
And this is after what we talked about, the dirtiness in her mouth and
The dirty.
I'm gonna read that again. He's talking really strange. Yeah, line 21. And this is after what we talked about, the dirtiness in her mouth and where allegedly be either pre-cum or it would be hair from the groin area, correct?
Correct.
And nothing like that. You heard all that testimony. Nothing like that was found, correct?
Correct.
And you would agree that the comforter, she said that had been washed, correct?
Correct.
But in regards to anything, the headboard or the bed or any of that, nothing from the bed was disturbed, correct?
Right. I don't even think it had a headboard. I'd have to look at the picture again, but I don't think it had a headboard.
Certainly, the plastic material that covered the box springs was not taken into evidence, correct?
And I'd have to look at the pictures. I don't even remember there being plastic. There could have been. I just don't recall.
Do you recall her telling you that there was?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall whether or not anyone looked at that plastic?
I don't remember.
Okay. And this rag she talked about, she told you she'd thrown it into the closet, correct?
Correct.
And there were photographs taken of that closet before it was disturbed by any of the searchers, correct?
Correct.
And then
By the
she
way,
went on.
I will show all the evidence pictures right after we're done reading.
Okay.
There was a headboard.
Of course there was. And I'm pretty sure that it was Kim that said something about the plastic cover. But now she's kind of discounting it. Anyway. Line 3. And then she went on further she went on to further explain to you in this phone call that took place in September that if it wasn't on the floor to check in the dresser drawers or the built-in dresser in the closet, correct?
I thought it was if it wasn't there, she put it in the dresser drawer by her bed.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to review your report dated September 2nd of 2014?
Yes, and if I can look again real quick, I'm pretty sure it was in case she moved the rag, it could be in the second or third drawer next to her bed on page 2.
Did anyone check the second or third drawer next to the bed?
Yes.
Okay. Who checked that?
Detective Homan and I did the search.
Okay. Do you note that anywhere on the search warrant returned that?
No, because we didn't take anything.
May I have just one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
From the documents that have been introduced into evidence, apparently this event with Ms. Grate, where she is confronted at 14th and Jordan, and eventually delivered to 633 Culberson, I think that we have stated that there's 29 minutes during that time frame, correct?
Okay. I'd have to look at the CAD call, but
The only thing I'm having a difficult time finding is on the document that's been introduced as the AVO going to Culberson. Do you recall that one?
right?
And I think that's 240. There doesn't appear to be. It just shows a squad car sitting there, but it doesn't show when the squad car left.
Correct.
Is there a reason why we don't have an AVL of when the squad car left? We have when the CAD call ended, but we don't have when the squad car left.
Probably when I was getting with Joe Hill and getting all that stuff, I said, give me this AVL and give me all the zero speeds at 633 Culberson. I probably didn't say, and then give me the next speed when he drives off.
Okay, pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Any redirect?
Yes, sir. May I have just a moment, please?
Yes.
Excuse me. Pardon me. I'm choking.
She's choking.
Detective Davis, in regards to the last question that Mr. Adams just asked you, in regards to when the squad car left 633 Culbertson, do you know what time it left?
I do.
Can you tell the jury when it was?
7:30:56.
So is that about a minute and a half later after the last zero speed was that we had?
A minute and 13 seconds.
A minute and 13 seconds after the last zero speed.
Yes.
Ma'am, I want to ask you several questions about what Mr. Adams has just gone through with you. First of all, in regards to his questions about the September 15th phone call from Rosetta Grate to your office, where it's documented she said how you might find some stuff in the house.
September 2nd.
September 2nd. Thank you. I wrote the date down wrong. September 2nd. Counsel asked you if you've reviewed that telephone call or if you've retrieved it. Do you remember him asking you that question?
I do.
Okay. You wrote a report, did you not, documenting it?
Detective Homan did.
Detective Holman did. And that call is still, do you know, in your experience, is that call still maintained in the system?
Yes.
So it's there if anybody wants to look at it, including defense counsel, they just need to ask, correct?
Right. And be clear that during that phone call, we didn't talk about this possible evidence. She just said she had some information. So we said, we'll come over and talk to you. So you're not going to get anything off that phone call.
Okay. And that was my next question. In regards to the items specifically, I want to talk just right now about the bedding and the plastic covering on the box springs and those type of things. Do you remember the questions Mr. Adams asked you about that?
Yes.
I don't know that he asked this question, but when you looked in the drawer next to the bed, did you find the rag? Did you find a rag?
No.
But you did look.
Yes.
What about the plastic? He was asking you questions about that. Why did you do what you did? Why did you do what you do with the plastic or didn't do? Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Jesus. Let me try this again. Why did you do what you do with the plastic or didn't do what you didn't do with the plastic?
If
Well,
there's
sound like a lot of doo-doo to me. Sorry, Kay.
if there would have been something there that had evidence, I would have taken it. And that would have been documented in my report. I didn't take anything.
And there was some questions about the box spring or the wood beside the box spring or something. And let me ask it this way. What did you do in regards to searching the bed based upon what Ms. Grate had told you whenever you were actually trying to obtain evidence that might have DNA material on it?
We searched the bed. We had with the SCI sergeant, but there wasn't anything to take. There was nothing with evidence on it. We pulled the bedding back. We didn't take the bedding because she said she washed it. There was nothing there, and that CSI felt that there would be evidence of. So we didn't take it.
May I ask a question before you continue, Rhonda? Okay.
Please. Yep. I know what you're going to ask. Go ahead.
Well, I just have a really dumb question to ask, I guess. Thinking about the CSI team, and basically that's their lab people, or whatever, that come out and do whatever they do. Sort of like the Wisconsin Crime Lab, I'm assuming. Now they're talking about here this bedding and this plastic covering on the mattress and whatever else. Does anyone know if they took an alternate light source, turned the lights out and used an alternate light source to look to see if there was evidence on any of that? Oh, did you think that was what I was going to ask?
Yeah, well, pretty much. But I was just going to be more blatant. How the fuck do you know if there was any evidence on it or not?
Exactly. If they didn't use an alternate light source, they may not have seen it, and it doesn't matter if that bedding had been washed. DNA can still survive.
Yeah. Well, and I can't remember exactly how or where, but somewhere between the police report and the preliminary hearing, I got the impression, Kay, Cherie, you guys can correct me if I'm off on this, but I got the impression that after she left Willie's house at that time, she didn't go back. Like, she wasn't allowed to go back after she got out of jail and all that stuff, or you know, I don't know. It didn't seem like she had gone back to the house after the alleged event, but I could be wrong. And I just wanted to kind of explain. I see some questions in the chat a little bit about the DNA in the semen. Kim Davis had made the flippant comment because Scott Adams asked, you know, if he had done these things and he had ejaculated like she said he did, and all these other things, wouldn't his DNA be in there? And Kim Davis said, not if he'd had a vasectomy. It's like, you bitch. But anyway, so that's why I asked Dr. Silkman about it, and that was the answer that I posted in the chat. Was Dr. Silkman's response. And, you know, so I mean, I guess, you know, if Daniel had had a vasectomy, that's valid, but it was just a really flippant, ignorant answer from Davis to say that. It just was asinine. But anyway, that's what the reference to the DNA was.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
But yeah, I agree. To my knowledge, there was no alternate life source used, unless Kay knows of something different. I haven't found anywhere that says there was, but.
Well, I'm confused about this trial testimony because I thought they took the chair back. And I thought on the back of the chair, there was a mixture of DNA. None of it was Rosetta's or Daniel's.
I have that. I was going to say I have that handy, but I don't. If you guys want to continue reading while I pull it up, or I don't know if you want me to show that or not, but I do have that.
Yeah, you could just, whatever. You could just read it or whatever you want to do. We can carry on while you're.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to take that out and let you guys read while I get the.
Well, it's actually you reading. This is Giger.
Oh, yep, I guess it is. Okay, well then here we go. I guess we'll just do it this way. Okay, this is what. Okay, so let's see. I should have given this to Dr. Silkman. But I know he's got a lot going on. So down here is Daniel, number 19A, and then Rosetta Grate, number 44A. So basically, all I kind of looked at was that there was no 19A mentioned of Daniel anywhere, or his numbers, you know, that matched in any of the stuff up here. This is the black chair back, and this is the front chair back.
So why are they saying they didn't take anything? This testimony leads people to believe that they didn't take the chair.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't take it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all. We didn't take anything because there was
we didn't
nothing.
take anything. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Well, and Elaine Taylor testified in this case as well because of this DNA stuff. So, I might just go through and see what her testimony was, and maybe post that in. Maybe have Dr. Silkman, when he gets time, look at that and that DNA evidence, and see what he can glean from it, if anything. And then I'll put it all in Rosetta's room or something.
She also said that they're making a big deal out of the bedding, that they didn't take the bedding because she said she washed it. But what she also said at some point, maybe not at trial, I can't remember where this is, but she said she folded the white comforter back because she knew Willie would be mad if it got messed up. But
that was it. That was in preliminary.
In her sequence of events, when she explains exactly what happened when she walked into the bedroom and what happened, he said, "Have a seat," and so she sat down. She never talks about flipping the comforter back. She leaves that step out. Yeah. And there's never a question to her about it.
No. Yeah, she testified to that in her preliminary, Rosetta did. So she said that she pushed it, that she folded it back or pushed it back so there wouldn't have been anything on it.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because I think I've washed it twice.
Yeah. Which is why I was saying I don't think she ever went back after that incident. I feels like I remember reading somewhere that she never went back to that house after this alleged assault took place. And so, because Willie was mad at her. And so that's why I said that, because how could she have washed it twice if she never even went back? Or once. So, yeah.
Well, there's time lapse between the time that the rape occurred in April and August. So right. I think what maybe she's saying is that she washed it twice immediately thereafter, because she didn't go back after
jail.
They did a search on his house. He was pissed.
Right.
But we had several months in between that where she's claiming she washed the comforter twice.
Yeah, that's true.
From April to August, so.
That's true. Let's face it. This lady was out on the streets taking date after date after date, prostituting herself with no bathing or showering in between, apparently. And she just wore that little black dress that day, on that particular day, with no underwear. When I show you the pictures, when I run this little thing of the pictures later, you guys will see, and then maybe you can tell me. Now, the bed is made up. When they take the evidence, when they go in to get evidence, the bed is made up. But you'll see the pictures when we get to them, when I show them.
Well, when I saw her at the courthouse, she was pretty put together, and she looked nice. Granted, she was going to court, but she didn't look, she looked like and she was obviously clean. Sure. I don't mean clean like cleanliness. I mean, not
clean and sober
on crack.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I think we're on line 24. The CSI felt. That's why I highlighted felt. That's why I think, Jack, that there wasn't an alternate light source used, because she says that CSI felt they felt that there would be no evidence, so we didn't take it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they used one either. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You would think that if they couldn't really see anything, they're thinking, okay, there's still could be something there, and use the alternate light source,
Oh, right.
the black light or whatever. They got other lights.
They
Go
did
ahead.
use an alternate light source on the items that they collected and took back to the lab.
Sure.
Right.
Unlike Daniel's pants, where she claimed she didn't use an alternate light source.
Mhm. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. See, when you start, that's just it. When you start, especially with Rosetta's case, man, I think this is, well, I don't know, man. I'm just really, really, really turned up by this whole testimony because from Kim Davis, this is just all some very, very shady testimony between her and Giger. It's really, really bad. So let's see. Okay, line 24. I'm come back and ask you about the search here in a minute, but I want to try and stay on point with in regards to the phone calls as well. Yeah, well, let's get off that DNA evidence shit because we can't explain it.
Yeah.
Mr. Adams was asking you if we went back and you tried to listen to the telephone call that may or may not have occurred between Mr. Johnny Grate and his daughter Rosetta prior to you talking to Johnny Grate on August the 15th. Do you remember that? God,
Yes.
and do you remember during Mr. Carter's testimony that it was determined that Ms. Grate wasn't in jail until August 26th of 2014?
Yes.
So based on that, were there any jail phone calls for you to go back and listen to try to determine whether or not Mr. Grate had talked to his daughter, Rosetta, in jail if she wasn't incarcerated until the 26th, but you talked to him on the 15th?
There wouldn't have been any from the 15th through the 26th.
Or before that?
Right. Yeah, right.
After your conversation?
But between my conversation and her going to jail, there weren't any phone calls. She wasn't in jail.
Ma'am, in regards to Mr. Adams' questions about rehab and those types of things, did you hear Ms. Grate testify on Friday that she was, not Friday, on Wednesday, that she was already in a drug rehab program that was monitored by the courts whenever all this stuff happened?
Yes.
That's not what she said.
She was in drug court, right? Not.
Yeah, yes. Yep. Female diversion program. That's not a drug rehab program.
Nope.
And she said right in the beginning of that interview when Kim Davis said to her, just so you know, I think she even said, before we get started, just so you know, the DA's offering rehab if you want that. That's how that fucking interview went. And it came from the very beginning of that interview. And Rosetta said, yeah, well, no, because I just signed myself up for rehab the day I came in here and blah, 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 blah. So that whole line of questioning about the rehab, Davis lied about it. But whatever, she can do that, I guess. Okay. Okay, line 4. And she'd been in that program for some period of months before that and had relapsed and things like that. Do you remember that?
Yes.
But whenever you were offering her or discussing with her, good catch again, ligger, her, discussing with her about some type of court-monitored program or something that could be done, was she already in that? Oh,
yes.
God. Ma'am, counsel said that, do you remember him saying that the district attorney's office offers things for testimony on a daily basis? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Now, how long have you been a sex crimes detective?
Almost 15 years.
How many cases have you worked with my office?
Oh, thousands.
Okay, and with me?
Hundreds?
Ma'am, over the course of your experience with the district attorney's office and me personally, do you know of a case where you and I have offered anything to a witness to get them to testify the way we want them to testify?
Never.
Judge, just object to the form.
Overruled.
Have you ever heard of Ms. McConnell offering to any defendant or any witness something in exchange improper for their testimony?
Never.
Judge, object to the form.
Overruled.
Have you ever heard of Mr. David Prater offering to any witness, or has there ever been any court action against our office for offering someone to come in
Judge, may I approach?
and testify in exchange for something of value?
Never.
All right, come up.
Your Honor, I object to this line of questioning because all I was asking about was in this case. I didn't say ever. I said in this case. She admitted that they offered her to go to rehab. She admitted she offered her.
Sorry. Offered what?
Offered her a drug rehab facility. She admitted that she got her into one, that the DA's office got her into one. Now he's twisting it into, now he's saying, have you ever known me to ever offer anyone to testify but the way we wanted them to, which is not the number one, that's not my question. Number two, I mean, we're getting into a real murky area where I know that there's been cases that have come back on that, not under Mr. Prater's command, but under other DA's command, where it came back for that very reason. And I object to that this line of questioning because I was simply asking, did you offer her rehab? Yes. Is there anything in writing? No. If she wants to say that that's their ordinary course of business, that's fine. But I certainly wasn't alluding that Mr. Giger or Ms. McConnell had done anything improper. I'm saying that I just don't have the ability to do that. And I don't. I was just pointing out a simple fact. But now we're getting to Mr. Prater, Mr. Giger, Ms. McConnell, and now, I mean, it's unfair for Mr. Holtzclaw. Line 22.
Okay, any response?
I think my questions were appropriate based upon cross-examination.
All right, I'm going to order you not to go into anything further about any other cases or anything else about testimony or anything that's not relevant to this case.
But everything we've already said stands.
Right, it's too late. Should be stricken from the record.
That's what I said. That's why I was so pissed about Henderson at this point. I'm like, oh, fuck you, man.
I bet.
Ugh. My next line of questioning is just to say, in her experience, has she had defense attorneys bring conversation to the defense, to the prosecution, that their clients are already in rehab and work in a program in order to negotiate things better, as well as going to Dr. Kisher's program on sex cases to try to negotiate better recommendations and ways to resolve cases, because that does happen on a routine basis.
All right, we got any evidence about that in this case?
Well, not in this case, Your Honor, but the implication is clearly, in my opinion, that Ms. Grate was offered something inappropriate in exchange for her testimony. There's been extensive cross-examination as to Florine Mathis in that regard, as well as to Shardarian Hill. There was some indication that our office, despite not disclosing anything, entered into some negotiation. Mr. Adams has indicated that as the defense attorney, he has no ability to offer anything to anyone. But I think in fairness and in completeness, it happens all the time where the defense has come in and said, I already have my client seeing in therapy for this or for that in order to negotiate pleas.
Judge, there's a huge difference between doing a mitigation for your client as opposed to the DA's office offering it. All I'm trying to make the point is that they have tools that aren't available to us. That's all. That was my only.
Okay, you didn't say anything about offering something inappropriate. If you want to finish this line of questions about the issue of anything being offered to a witness, then we'll move on.
All right.
I have one comment before we move. I have one more comment before you start on line 14. If she was already in a drug program, why did the DA help her?
Because it wasn't a drug program.
Exactly. It's too bad that Adams missed that and didn't throw that in his face.
Yeah. Yeah, it's two different things. A rehab and a
Drug diversion program
are two different things. Yeah.
They really are.
I mean, I've had my sons and I've had my siblings who have gone to diversion programs, or well, they call it drug court here, but not be in any rehab at all, not ordered to be in rehab. Those are different things, and this just gets glossed over in this, and it really is annoying. Okay. Detective Davis, as the lead investigator in this case, are you aware of anything of value that has been offered to anyone in order to get them to testify the way we want them to, or in exchange for their testimony in this case?
No.
So I made this note here. None of this was done openly. It's in the tone, in my opinion. None of it's done openly. Of course, they're not going to do it openly.
Of course
shit's
not.
All done behind doors, where with only certain people involved. Come on, we're not.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Right.
Yeah. Okay, line 20. Ma'am, in making your initial contact with Rosetta Grate in this case, Mr. Adams asked you some questions about Ms. Grate's apparent knowledge that you would come talk to her about a police officer that had acted inappropriately. Would you agree?
Yes.
In that regard, ma'am, had you told Mr. Grate the name of the officer?
I didn't even tell him it was an officer. He's the one that told me it was an officer.
Says you. And in that regard, ma'am, whenever Miss Grate, after she said, "Oh, did he confess?" or whatever it is that she said to you, during that interview, did you ever indicate to her that it was Officer Holtzclaw?
No.
In talking about Miss Grate's criminal history and the fact that she had admitted that she was a prostitute and done those things, you had an opportunity to review Miss Grate's Varuna criminal history as well, to review Miss Grate's Varuna criminal history as well in going in and talking to her, correct?
Yes.
Do you have a ballpark number as to how many different times Miss Grate's come in contact with a police officer that we have documented?
Wow, a lot. 40, I'm guessing.
All right. And of those 40 different contacts, which officer did she talk about had been inappropriate with her?
Officer Holtzclaw.
Is that your experience in talking to other victims in this case as well that have had multiple contact with police officers?
A judge, object to the form.
Sustained.
Have you had similar experiences in your investigation when you've come in contact with other alleged victims?
Hang on, I'm making a note real fast. Sorry.
Okay.
Is it line 6?
Yes.
Yes.
In what regard?
All of our victims have had multiple contacts with police, and they're all only saying Officer Holtzclaw is the one that assaulted them.
Like my call out note says, None of them said that. Davis and Gregory told them that, because none of them said, yeah, the cop that assaulted me was Officer Holtzclaw. None of them said that. Not even Janie Liggins, Terry Morris, Tabitha, none of them said it. They were told that. Ugh.
Well, I guarantee you, if we had a report showing when all those AVL records were pulled, it would change this story completely, because they're reminding these women of the time that Holtzclaw stopped them and suggesting that that's when they were raped. I bet my life on it. And there's no way to prove it as long as they withhold that report.
Yep. I'm with you 100%. 100%. And that's, and like you said, it would change the whole, it would have changed the complete, this might not have even gone to trial if we'd had that evidence or that proof, because that's what they're basing this whole, all of these cases on, is AVL. And I really think that the AVL is what would have set Daniel free. What they used to convict him with is what would have set him free if we were able to prove when it was taken or when it was obtained. But here we are. Okay, line 11. Detective Davis, I want to make sure I'm clear on what your testimony is with Mr. Adams. He asked you a series of questions regarding whether or not you believe it would be unusual, I think was his word, for an officer to give someone a ride home. Those types of things. Do you remember those questions?
Yes.
My question is this. In a situation where an officer has come in contact with an individual who admits that she's a prostitute, admits that she is high, has drug paraphernalia on her, is in a high crime area, is it your testimony it's not unusual for officers to not arrest them and just take them home?
Well, not just take them home. I mean, he should have filled out at least a field interview card on her to let impact units know where she's buying her dope, let Vice know where she's walking as a prostitute, to go to the different entities of the police department, so they know areas that need to be worked. Oh, it's okay for them to
Yeah, right.
women if they're prostitutes, but not Daniel.
Right.
She's saying it's okay for Impact and
Vice
to do the very thing that Daniel was doing, but it's not okay for Daniel to do it. Okay, cool.
Got it. Check. And I said right here, Officer Holtzclaw already knew all of that. It's why he worked the area as hard as he did. He already knew what was going on and who was involved and where the main, well, in my opinion, because I don't know of any other, where a main or a central drug house was. And I really feel like that's, getting to Tabitha Barnes' house and getting her raided or getting her, whatever it was going to be. I think that was Daniel's goal. Not that that's all he worked for, but when he was out on patrol and there was no calls that he needed to respond to and, things like that, rather than sitting by the side of the road, hunkered down under some trees, doing nothing, he was out working those streets to get the information. That's why Daniel's in the position that he's in, because he was working the streets the way any other officer could have and should have. Except for Daniel, it was all nefarious and it was all dirty and it was all rapey, and it's just that's just fact. That's just fact, in my opinion. That's how they worked this. Okay. Mr. Adams asked you whether or not it was unusual for an officer to verify that where he took someone is actually where they live. Do you remember those questions?
Yes.
Is there anything about what Officer Holtzclaw did in taking Miss Grate home and entering her house that is unusual?
I think it's unusual that he entered her house, but then he followed her to her bedroom. You don't do that. And then he put his penis in her mouth. You don't do that.
No. What
Really?
a stupid thing to say.
You don't do that? Okay.
Oh, really?
Oh, you don't,
You don't
do
put
that?
your
I thought you
penis
could
in
do
their
that.
mouth? God, all the cops have been doing it wrong all this time. Oh, it's so hard to take her seriously. In your experience as a patrol officer and as a detective, if you're going to enter in someone's house, would you typically notify a dispatcher of that?
Yes.
Do you think it's unusual that he did not do that in this case, even if the rest of it is not out beyond the parameters of what's usual and unusual, by not telling dispatch he's going into the house? Is that significant to you?
Yes.
Why?
Oh, man. Hey, can you guys have a conversation a minute? Daniel's calling me. I haven't talked to him for a week.
Sure.
Oh, tell him we said hi.
Please.
We can just keep reading.
You want me to read? Or
Let's see. I'll read
or-
Kim if you want to read, or Cherie wants to read. It's up to Cherie.
Oh, no, you guys can manage it, or if I need it, I'll do it. But
Okay. I'll read for Kim then, Jack, and if you want to cover Gigger.
sure.
Okay, on line 2, Rhonda is now reading Kim's part. One, just for him to CYA for himself, he is with a female prostitute, drug-addicted person who could make all sorts of allegations against him. He's going to follow her into the house where there's no one home. He should let dispatch know, I'm going in here. He's already told them he's with a female because he gave his mileage, but he should have let them know just for coverage of himself. She could make all sorts of allegations against him, which obviously has happened. But an officer's safety, that's not safe practice to enter someone's house by yourself without letting dispatch know. If you let dispatch know and then something goes bad and you need help, they know where you're at. He's at 633 Culbertson. He's entered the house. We know there's at least one other person in the house with him.
That leads me to my next question. As an experienced detective and patrol officer, and in investigating a sexual assault like this, is it concerning to you that he does give the location? Is it concerning to you that he does give the location as going to Culbertson, knowing that an allegation then is made of sex crimes at that location? Do you understand my question?
No.
Let me try to rephrase it. How much supervision is out there? When an officer says, I'm going to Culbertson, obviously he notifies the dispatcher, but as a detective, is it not significant to you that if he's going to commit a sex crime, he's told the dispatcher where he's going to do it?
No.
And if not, explain why it's not significant.
It's not. I mean, we're in patrol. You're a one-man unit. You don't know there's only certain calls that, like 2 patrol cars go together. This would not be one of those type calls. Nobody babysits you out there. I mean, we're adults with badges and guns. Supervisors don't follow you around and make sure you're doing what you're saying you're doing. They're basically out there by yourself doing patrol duties.
All right. I think the last thing I want to ask you about is Mr. Adams had asked you about, again, involvement in the search for and looking for some type of items for DNA evidence. Do you remember that?
Yes.
2 things that you did seize were a pair of underwear and a pair of panties. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Why did you seize those, given what Miss Grace had said about not wearing panties and not talking about underwear?
The underwear was men's underwear. They were white, and they have, you know, how some of them have the little blue stripe around the waistband. She had described that the rag that she used to wipe her vagina with as white with possibly a blue stripe. So we took those because she might have thought she grabbed a dish towel, but she grabbed some underwear, you know? So those kind of fit the description of the color and stuff, not necessarily the type of item it was. And I just took the black panties because they were in the little cubby holes next to where the white underwear were. And I just took them just in case because it looked like they'd just been thrown up there. They weren't placed up there neatly or anything. Trust me, when you guys see these pictures, nothing was placed in there neatly.
In searching, you told Mr. Adams that you looked into the drawer. You looked in the drawers beside the bed. Did you search basically all through that bedroom looking for a rag that could have been used?
Yeah, we even went into the bathroom too, thinking that somebody could have picked up the towel and took it in the bathroom. But it's 4 months later. I didn't really expect to find anything.
In that regard, ma'am, Mr. Adams again asked you about your initial. Hey, you went and looked for Rosetta Grate and made initial contact with her. Do you remember that? Do you remember those questions?
Yes.
If I'm understanding the timeline of what Mr. Adams asked you about, it's now August, and I believe the 15th was your first contact with Mr. Johnny Grate. Is that right? In trying to find Rosetta?
Let me look just to be sure. August 15th with Johnny.
Mr. Adams pointed out that it's 2 months after your initial allegation that you know about with Janie Liggins. You remember him asking you that?
Yes.
Why are you still actively out there looking for ladies who might have been sexually assaulted if it's now 2 months removed?
Because our serology lab notified us that they had female DNA on the inside flap of Officer Holtzclaw's uniform pants. And it didn't match Janie Liggins, and it didn't match his girlfriend. And so far, it hadn't matched anybody that we had found. So I knew there was another female victim out there that we needed to find that DNA to.
Up and until this point, this event happened allegedly in April of 2014, correct?
Right.
The sexual contact event.
Right.
The other, with the exception of Janie Liggins, the other ladies that have testified happened prior to April of 2014 that have testified in this trial, correct?
Yes.
And of those ladies, you were able to obtain DNA samples from each of them voluntarily.
Yes.
And they still were not matching the evidence on the pants.
Correct.
And that would be the same for Ms. Grate as well, correct?
Correct.
That would be the same for Ms. Grate as well.
Correct.
So, did your investigation continue?
Yes.
Pass the witness.
All right, specifically in those new areas, Mr. Adams.
Yes, Your Honor. Detective Davis, you just testified on redirect examination that it was Johnny Grate that you had told that it was an officer, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You would agree with me that as of August 15th of 2014, it already hit the media, correct?
Probably. I don't remember the date, but probably.
Well, actually, what Johnny Grate told you was you interviewed him on August the 15th of 2014, correct?
Correct.
And when you talked to him, and he told you that his daughter had come home about a month prior and told her that she'd been taken someplace and had been sexually assaulted by an officer, correct?
Hearsay, Your Honor.
Overruled, you can answer.
I'm going to look in my report.
Please.
Yes.
Okay. And you would agree with me that 1 month prior to that interview, you would have taken us into July the 15th of 2014, correct?
Correct.
You would agree with me that at that point in time, Daniel Holtzclaw had been placed on leave for approximately 30 days. He was not on duty, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it would have been impossible for an officer. It would have been impossible for Officer Holtzclaw to sexually assault Ms. Grate during that period of time as a police officer, correct?
Yes, after June 18th, yes.
Correct. You also talked about Officer Holtzclaw and his actions in regards to the events with Ms. Grate. You testified that he certainly did put the address 633 Culberson as the place he was going, correct?
Yes.
And it's your testimony that it's really of no big significance, correct?
That he said that's where he was at.
Right. Because you said they're really kind of unsupervised out there. They're just running around. But he did give the address 633 Culberson. There's no question about that.
Correct.
And he did that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, would you have found it suspicious had he not given that address out?
It wouldn't have been smart.
Okay, so he's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't give the address out of where he's headed, correct?
No.
Under your scenario, it's a no big deal that he gives the address, correct?
Right.
But then it's really no big deal if he doesn't give the address either, correct? Is that what your testimony is?
No, he needs to give us the address just for officer safety.
Okay, and we agree that he did that.
Right.
Okay. So then what was all of the questioning about in regards to how nefarious that it looks if he gives the address of where he says the sexual assault occurred?
I don't think it's nefarious at all that he gave the address.
Okay, you think it's nefarious that he went and checked to make sure that she truly lives there?
Yes, I do not think he should have gone into her house and into her bedroom.
Again, you'd agree with me that it is not against the law here. Again, you'd agree with me that it is not against the law here in the state of Oklahoma, correct?
Not if you're invited in, no.
All right, right. And in fact, Miss Grace did invite him, correct? There's no evidence to the contrary.
There's no evidence to the contrary. He just followed her in. He just followed her, and she didn't say no.
And as a police officer, are you aware of any officer that doesn't take the advantage of being able to go into a house if someone allows them in there?
I'll go with that, yes.
Okay. Would you agree with me that if you're actually trained to try and get entry into a home, correct?
Well, not all homes. It depends on the call and the location and where you're at.
If you were suspicious of whether or not someone lives at a residence where you deliver them, as a police officer, you understand that there's civil liability if you let them out just at some unknown home and they break in, correct?
Correct.
So he's probably doing a pretty good idea by going up there and trying to verify that this lady really does live here, because nothing shows that she does. You would agree with that, correct?
I'll agree that nothing showed that she lived there, but she just walked in. I mean, so it's not like he stood there and she broke in.
Well, she just walked into a house that there's no identifying information that she in fact lives there. You would agree with that, correct?
Yes.
And there's nothing that Officer Holtzclaw had at his disposal that would say Rosetta Grate lives at 633 Culberson, correct?
I don't know if her Varuna sheet ever showed that address or not. I don't know.
Even if it did, it wouldn't necessarily mean that she lives there, correct?
No, but if it was on there, it meant she lived there at one time.
Has she been there at some times that something was reported?
Correct.
Correct. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, last word, Mr. Giger.
Ma'am, in dealing with Miss Grate, Mr. Carter and Mr. Grate is it possible that Mr. Grate would have been off that 1 month? It might have happened maybe 2 months. Mr. Adams, object to the form.
Sustained.
Gigger, that's all.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You can step down.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's all.
All right,
No,
call
that's
your
all.
next witness. Okay, I guess we're done.
Yeah.
We're done. Sorry.
Done with that. God.
Done with that shit show. Jesus.
Awful.
That was brutal. That was, in my opinion, I feel like that is, we still have a lot of trial testimony to read, don't get me wrong. But as of this point so far, that was horrible. In my opinion, I was angry at the very first time I read it through. I've been angry about it the last few days. Today, going through it again, I've been really upset, and I'm upset again because it's so, I mean, there was so much, in my opinion, in that testimony that should have been, well, the AVL stuff, the whole glitchy thing, and that happens sometimes. That should have made this. That should have been a mistrial or some shit. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm telling you, something's wrong about that.
Oh, I agree.
And I'm really angry about this testimony. And but the thing is there's nothing that can be done about that now, except for to try to find, to try to see if there's anything in there new that can be used in post-conviction, because it has to be new evidence. So I feel like there's a lot of ineffective assistance of counsel information in there. I don't know.
A lot of bad judging. He just allows them to. I actually never done a jury trial. All my trials are with judges, bench trials, but I can't imagine the judge letting them go all over the place and be confusing. The jurors can't say, "Hey, wait a minute, now what did you say?" The jurors can't ask questions like the judge does in a trial if he doesn't understand something. So, I mean, and they're probably embarrassed to say that they don't understand, to do anything about it. So they just, take it in and do the best they can, I guess.
Yeah, something. I don't know. It was reprehensible the way Davis testified. I don't know. We've some of us have watched a lot of trials, and we've seen different courtrooms and different things that judges allow or don't allow or whatever. But I'm telling you, man,
with all those trials you watched, does the judge let them get away with being confused? Seems like purposely being confusing.
I haven't noticed a trial where I've seen that. I feel like most of the trials that I've watched, the judges have been fairly reasonable, and I've, not agreed with everything, but, for the most part, I've been satisfied with, most of the calls. But this, no way. I feel like it was the worst that, again, not having seen all the trial yet, or, all the testimony. I don't know. I just felt like it was, felt like it was bad.
You're going to show us some. You're sure going to show us some photos of that bedroom. I think I've seen these. Actually, I know I have.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find my brain too, but I apparently stuck it somewhere else. God.
Seriously, huh? I know I've been having a hard time today too. I feel like it's I've just been having a lot of brain fog or something today, and well, our weather changed quite drastically too. So, where did I put those damn pictures? Or that video? I can't remember what I named it. I've seen a lot of bad lawyering in different trials that I've watched. I'm just going to keep putting up these comments while I look for these. Dang it, where did I put that picture? I didn't save it. I mean, that file, I didn't. I'm sure I saved it. I mean, I'm sure I exported it. Is that right? Evidence photos. Okay, I think this is it. Okay, yeah, it is. Okay, let me get organized here. So let me see real quickly here. The media is there always. If something happens, it's on the news usually, unless they want to keep it hushed, like the last execution. Yeah, that was rough. When someone stole my identity, she asked, quote, "How do you explain your picture being picked out of this book, photos of me and people I knew under surveillance?" I said, "By calling you a liar." TJ. Then they found out it wasn't me, and I walked out looking at her, still pissed about that. I don't blame you. And he says, "I bet she is too." Okay, so we're going to let Kay back in, and I'm going to, gosh dang it, I thought I just did that. Holy shit, what is going on? Hi, Kay.
Hey.
Yeah, Rhonda said, "Watch this. Hold my beer." And I heard something drop kick, and you were gone. I don't know what that's about. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was like this.
I would imagine.
It was like Charlie Brown and Lucy holding the football. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Well, I muted you, and then just about the time I muted you, you took yourself.
Dropped.
You left the studio. Yeah. So I figured you were trying to have some privacy, so it's all good.
I forgot I wasn't muted. Obviously.
Oh, did you? Oh.
Well, I'm not reading from your screen, so I don't have Streamyard on my screen, so I just completely spaced it anyway.
It was fine. It was fine. Well, Jack said, Kay's not muted. Kay's not muted. And I said, well, I think she does. I don't think she means to be. And then, and then you dropped out. And I said, well, I'll just mute her because I thought you were just playing for, letting us hear Daniel's voice, which would be illegal. So, of course, you weren't.
For sure.
So, anyway, I went to mute you and then you dropped out. So, it was all good. Gosh damn it, I'm so irritated about it. I can't find this doggone. I'll just try to share it from my screen. I don't like doing it that way with video files, but that's what I'll do. Okay, we're going to just go ahead and play the evidence photos so people can look at those. Oh, that's still in our minds.
Yeah, there's definitely a big old headboard on that bed.
Mm-hmm. There's the chair. Now look at that closet.
That Will is an avid reader, isn't he?
No, those books, all that stuff belonged to the old lady whose home it was.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and she died, and that was that was all her stuff.
Right, he just hung around and kept paying the light bill. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good deal if you can get it.
Rag holder.
Yeah, I just threw that rag in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
And no alternate light source. Wow.
None that we know of.
I guess they had to, they had to get lunch. That probably took a couple hours, time you get everybody down there, get ordered. And then time I got lunch done, it's time for a break. And by that time, get that break done, do a couple of little things, and, hell, it's quitting time I get back to the lab. Gotta go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Well, I'm just, I'm being sarcastic and kind of an ass, but, if the lab is there and this victim, I think she probably was assaulted, and just not by Daniel, but she's saying I did this and did this with biological evidence, and they don't even try to use an alternate light source to find it? Come on.
Well, you talk about, I feel I'm not saying Rosetta is not a victim of sexual assault. I'm not saying that. She's a prostitute, and I fully believe that that prostitutes get sexually assaulted all the time. I don't doubt that, but I think I have in my gut, I feel like she's lying about Rosetta's entire story is a lie and sounds like a lie to me through and through. She's a liar. That's what I mean. She's good at that, and she's proud of that. And in the video that I showed you last week or the week before, the news clip where she made the 911 call about a shooting at Willie's house.
Yep.
Well, that's a lie. That's a fucking lie. That's a huge lie. That's a felonious lie. Is that the right word? So there's nothing that's coming from her mouth in this case that I believe at all, except for that Daniel stopped her and he took her to Culbertson. That's all I believe. But everything that happened in between, there's no evidence of it whatsoever at all. And it's infuriating that they, I don't even know. I mean, it's pointless to be infuriated about it because it doesn't change anything, and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do any good. And unless we have new evidence, it doesn't matter. None of it even matters because, we can't change anything about any of that now. We have to have new evidence for it to go anywhere. And I'm going to show you guys something really quick here. Just in case you've forgotten, this is what most of the AVL that we've seen in this case, this is what it looks like this. where there's all of these, dots and times and speeds and everything else. I've enhanced that, and I didn't put things where they didn't belong, but I enhanced the dots. But look at all those times in there.
Yep.
And that's not even transporting anybody.
And
That
it's the
isn't even with-
complete path.
And it's the complete path. Exactly. Yet we didn't get shit for Rosetta Grate. We got the initial stop where it started and the initial and where it ended. We did not get anything in between at all. And that to me is shady. And then when she talks about, I asked them and they said that happens sometimes. It gets glitchy. There's a glitch. That should make every single testimony that used AVL, that should be thrown out of each and every individual case, in my opinion. But fuck am I? So anyway, so I just wanted to show you that's a reminder. He's got a DeLorean. Yeah. Let's see. TJ has just been going all sorts of commenting in the thing, and that's great. I've read War and Peace and the entire dictionary, but still can't spell. Well, I haven't read the entirety of the dictionary, but if it happens in that profession, usually it's how they end up doing that in the first place. I've obviously missed the context, which I do all the time with TJ. Sorry. He says, I used to wait for the bus going to a special school, waited at 23rd Street. I learned all about hookers early on because they talked to me. Oh boy. Not as a customer, just about life. Oh. Well, that's did they give you good life advice? Don't sleep with hookers? Yes, Kim Davis is absolutely shady. And she's snarky and bitchy and just ugly. Everything about her disgusts me. Okay, so that was super long. I figured it was going to be just because I knew there was going to have to be a lot of discussion. Plus, I had the stuff I wanted to show. So that's about all I can take for one night.
Yeah, I'm pretty nauseated. It's kind of sickening.
Yeah, it was rough. Yeah, well, it's nauseating and just frustrating as all hell. So,
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any? Are those your final comments about it, Jack, or do you have other comments about?
I've got a lot of comments I can make, but I think we've pretty much covered all of them. I mean, her testimony, it's really misleading. And this AVL record that you're talking about that's been denied, that's really frustrating because, as you said, I think the entire course of the trial, if there was even a trial at all, would be different. Right? When they pulled this AVL, isn't that what you were talking about earlier?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And they've never provided that.
Oh.
Do you know if Scott Adams actually requested that specifically? Or Brian Bates?
Requested what?
To find out when the AVL was pulled.
Yeah, he did, and they gave a report. Okay, so he sent an email to Galen Giger asking for the dates that the AVL was pulled. I'll have to find that email and we can show it next week.
Yeah.
And then, so he calls Kim Davis and she puts together this lame ass report that has it's like 3 or 4 of the accusers and the dates that she pulled the AVL.
But that's not what Adams asked for, right? He wanted when Musney pulled it. Isn't that how that worked? If I'm remembering right.
See, that's my recollection too. That he asked for. He wanted a record of when it was pulled, but I don't think he understood what to ask for, how to ask for it.
He wanted the audit. He wanted the audit trail.
But I don't think that's what he wanted, but I don't think he knew exactly how to say that.
Yeah.
What the terminology was, maybe, or that things like that exist in software programs.
Right.
Yeah,
he should have gotten that.
We've read that in somebody's trial testimony.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember who it was.
Read, I can't remember if it was Adara's but we did read it in somebody's trial testimony. So I have it somewhere.
It might have been Adara's. I do remember reading and talking about that because it's really important to understand. And if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was Musney that did it.
That did what? Pulled
this master. Yeah, this master AVL.
No, he didn't do the AVL. He just did the CIU and the 800 unit. Remember Rocky testifying about how it wasn't a list; it was CIU and 800.
Yes.
Unit.
Okay. So are we talking about Kim Davis when she actually pulled this master list?
Well, okay. See, she wouldn't have pulled. No, it would have had to come from
it would come from Joe Hill.
Joseph Hill. Is that
Joe Hill? Yeah.
Okay. What is he? Is he some kind of officer or whatever? I mean, ranking.
He does records. Yeah, records.
Okay. Okay.
And and in every one, if you look back at the police reports that we've gone over that have been Kim Davis has done, she says in the beginning of all of her reports, I asked so and so Joe Hill to get the AVL on such and such date or whatever. She says in her reports that she asked Joe Hill. And Rocky, I don't remember him ever saying that he asked for the AVL, so Kim probably did his for him too, because I would just about venture to guess that the day that those names were put on a list, are the days that AVL was run. That's my
probably opinion. Right. Okay, so here's a note. November 30th, 2015. I knew it was, I knew it was during trial. Mr. Scott Adams via hand delivery regarding State v. Holtzclaw. Dear Mr. Adams, in response to your email dated Wednesday, November 25th, 2015, please find the enclosed police report in case number 2014-049050, and then it's in parentheses 060. I'm not sure. Is that Rosetta Grate's case number? 9050.
I don't know. I can find out really quick though while you're looking at that.
I contacted Detective Davis over the weekend, and this is the information she provided. In regards to Detective Gregory, I was not able to discuss the matter with him over the Thanksgiving weekend. Oh, so it is because it was a result of this bullshit AVL incomplete things with Rosetta Grate. He did that on the Wednesday that was the beginning part of the testimony that we were reading today.
Oh, okay.
On Wednesday, when everyone broke for the Thanksgiving holiday, he sent Giger a letter, an email asking. I don't have that email right now, but he says, I was not able to discuss the matter with him over the Thanksgiving weekend. However, with victims Rains and Barnes, the assaults are alleged to have occurred at only one location. With victim Hill, the arrest and transport to the county jail is independently documented. With victim Morris, Detective Gregory has repeatedly testified he did not check AVL until after his third interview with her at the county jail. So he's just blowing a bunch of smoke up Scott Adams' ass by saying all these things. With victim
Yeah.
Hill, the arrest and transport, blah, blah, only one location, blah, blah. That's not even what he doesn't give a
Yeah.
shit about that. He just wants a record of when the AVL was pulled and by whom. I think that was so. There's an email, November
We'll have to find.
25th, 2015,
We'll have to
that
look
we
for
need
that.
to find.
Yeah. Well, if we even got that one, we only got what, 7,000 out of how many thousand?
I've seen it. I think it's actually a part of the record, the
Oh, okay.
of the never mind.
Yeah, I'm just trying to go through the police report here. It's case number 070895.
Okay, this please find the police report is 2014-049050 parenthesis 060 end of parenthesis.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't be Rosetta's. Hers doesn't even go that high. Yeah, it's everything that they did with Rosetta. I mean, as much as they turned Terry Morris into, well, you know, conspired really to get her to change her location and everything and date. They did the same amount of work with Rosetta, except for worse, almost. I feel like, because I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking too about where she testified that where Davis testified about. I lost my train of thought. Never mind. It'll come back to me or not. I don't know. So they go and see Rosetta, and then she tells them this story, and then Rosetta calls them back 6 or 7 days later and says, "Oh, I have all this evidence." Because I know Kim Davis is lying. I mean, I don't have any proof of it, but I know she's lying because I know Daniel's innocent. What must she have been thinking? What must her and Holman have been thinking when they got that phone call that Rosetta wanted to see them again? Because she had evidence for them. What was that? I can't even imagine. And maybe that's the reason, maybe that's part of the reason why they didn't go into testing all those other things. Because they knew there wasn't going to be anything on any of it anyway.
Right.
So they went through the motion. Yeah. So that's probably why that's the only DNA evidence or forensic evidence that they even have in Rosetta's case, because they knew there was nothing. Everything that was done on that day that they went into Willie's house was all for show, in my opinion, because they knew there wasn't going to be any evidence there, because they knew that she was lying. They had to know she was lying. I'm really just infuriated by this testimony. I might have to maybe make some clips or something of Elaine Taylor's testimony, or maybe I can get Elaine Taylor's testimony and not even read it, but maybe just put it in Rosetta's room, and people can go there in Discord and read it in Rosetta's room. Maybe that's what I'll do, because I'm curious. I'm gonna, if I can get my hands on that testimony, I'm gonna send it to Dr. Silkman if I feel like there's anything weird in it, and see if he has any ideas or thoughts. Because I'm really curious now about what she had to say. But I don't necessarily think I want to spend another week on Rosetta, as much as we could spend probably 2 or 3 more shows on her. I kind of want to move on to the next one. And I'm not really sure. He would probably have a quicker idea about who that is that's coming up next.
Well, it was Regina in the transcript, but I'd have to look at Brian Bates. Can't remember.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll, at any rate, I mean, unless there's some questions or comments, in any of these videos that we've done with Rosetta, and people are asking for, further conversation about Rosetta, or people want us to read Elaine Taylor's testimony in her case, we would probably will move on to the next accuser, I think. Because this one's got me all jacked up. I mean, my head is exploding. So, so far, this is the most nefarious testimony I've heard from Kim Davis, or at least to me, it seems like that. So,
No, I just looked at shows Kayla Lyles next, and then Shardarian. So then Regina.
Oh, so Kayla's going to be another interesting one then. God. Oh, Lordy. Okay.
Yeah, Lordy is right.
Kayla is foul. She is foul and disgusting. And just 100% lies from her. And we'll work this next week to start with her testimony, or her police report at least, and show you how. I'm really going to, I can't remember. I know that we've seen some of the evidence some of the testimony in Kayla's, but it's been a long time ago. So we'll have to start working on that. None of these trial testimonies are boring. I mean, maybe the way I presented it might seem boring, but none of it's boring because it's all full of weirdness is all I can really say. So, okay. So Cherie, did you have any other final comments about what we've done tonight?
No, I'm good. It was illuminating going through these. Just watch it while watching or listening to Gigger. He's just so infuriating.
Can't stand that guy.
And he's so like, I half the time I couldn't even understand what he was asking.
Well, his phraseology is really bad a lot of times, because he's trying to lead, and he's trying to wiggle around that. I know in his brain, probably understanding that he could very well get called out on it by Adams or whoever the defense lawyer may be. So he's very practiced at it. This is what he does. He's too good at it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, he's not good at it.
Well, he's not, but you know what I'm saying. He's practiced at it. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So Kay, I'm guessing that, hopefully everything was good with your phone call with Daniel, and he's hopefully doing well.
Yes, he is. I thought I was muted, but I wasn't. Yeah, he's doing all right. His knee's jacked up again. They've been canceling gym a lot, so it's kind of a bummer. But he seemed good.
Well, that's
He
good.
said to tell everyone hello and thank you for continuing to do the podcasts. And
Oh, of course.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah, it's you know, it's all that we can do. I mean, I don't know what else I can do. I mean,
well, I've been told to take vitamins, so maybe you guys should take vitamins too. He's real worried about me because I don't take multivitamin.
oh,
That's the kind of things he tells me.
oh boy.
Taking good care of you.
Yeah.
He's
That's nice.
not much different in there than he was out here as far as trying to take care of his body.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's what he has to draw on, you know. That's what keeps him probably able to, you know, keep living each day. You know, I can only imagine. I know how important that is to him.
Yeah.
So-
Well, it's something he has control over, so it's a good place to focus his energy for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to tell him, or maybe when I write to him, I'll let him know that I'm not currently taking a multivitamin. I've had to now move to geriatric vitamins, so, to the silver version of vitamins.
Don't say that. Geriatric.
That's what they call them, geriatric plus. That's what I saw. Oh, but they say it nicer nowadays, though. They call them silver, 1 a day plus silver.
I like that a lot better.
I'm going to go pick up some silvers.
You're not quite there yet.
What do you
All right,
mean?
folks. You're younger than me and Jack and Sheree.
Okay.
I know that much.
Not much.
Well, yeah. I know once you reach probably, I don't know, a certain age, it probably just like, eh.
Yeah.
Centrum, oh, let's see. There you go. There you go, Kay.
Centrum 50 plus.
She takes 50 plus. There you go. So that's not quite geriatric or silver. Silver alert. Oh, God, I know. That's one thing I can say. I've got some wrinkles coming, but I have only very, very few gray hairs. So I feel pretty, I don't mind saying how old I am because I don't feel like I'm looking like I'm that old. So I'm not too uptight about it. Sheree shouldn't be uptight about it, but she is. It's okay.
I'm just can't believe it. Wow, time flies.
It is weird. It is really weird. It's really weird.
He just gets irritated how much he has to spend on supplements in there.
Oh.
Everything's so expensive.
But he is able to get vitamins, isn't he, or supplements?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's taken a multivitamin and some extra D because, you know, they have limited sunlight. So
right, that makes sense.
Yeah,
and
some glucosamine for his joints.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
TJ says we just named his next tune Geriatric. Okay.
Can't wait to hear it.
I can't either.
Or is that a cartoon or a tune?
Yeah, right. That's what I was wondering. Cartoon or a song, TJ? Let's see. What's he say here? I helped bury Methuselah. Oh, please. Come on.
Okay, TJ.
All right. He's probably younger than
that.
All of us. Oh, gosh. All right, you guys. Well, we've successfully gone almost 4 hours. It's 2 hours longer than I would like to have gone. And like I said, my head is exploding. And just not only because of this asinine testimony by Kim Davis, but probably because I haven't eaten yet. So I'm going to go eat, and I'm sure Jack is he's confessed that he usually eats while we
Not today.
Eat, but
today.
He had a lot of reading to do today.
Yeah.
So.
You know, I was offered to dinner twice, but I said, "Hey, look, I'm reading. I'm that's okay. That's all. I'm not starving tonight. I'm doing okay."
Okay, good. Well, I just want to remind everybody again to please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're one of the 11 people watching this between the two different streams and you haven't subscribed, and if I find out who you are, I'm something. I don't know. I'm going to be hurt. My feelings are going to be really hurt.
Go show some love and hit that sub button.
Yep, it looks like we're at about 297 now. We hit 500 and then I lost 4. So that's not good. You can't subscribe and then unsubscribe.
Yeah, they'll come back. I promise.
Yeah,
it's going to fluctuate. It's going to fluctuate. It always does.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, so subscribe, share this with other people, share it, I don't know, on Twitter or whatever places you go and socialize. Like the videos, because that does help too to push more of our videos out. And, let's carry on some conversation, in the comment section. I love being in some comment sections and chatting back and forth. So, let's do that. And since that's about all we have for tonight, we'll go ahead and probably start on Kayla next week. And
oh my God,
so, I know it's a never-ending headache.
That's me again, like adding some extra sounds to your thing. I don't know how to work the mute button.
That's what she said.
I didn't hear you, so you're fine.
That's what she said.
All right. Still on Tuesdays for now. So until next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central. Peace.